And he replied to him and was like, oh, I saw your guys' videos. Let me put you in as a bonus mention. So we're in the description of this video called like Fridays with PewDiePie. I think it's called Wall Twerk. Because we went straight after the MCC event, the first photo we ever took after signing our marriage documents, I'm actually in my Purple Pandas esports shirt. I actually made a video called like what it's like training with Techno Dream and Wilbur. And it was just us messing around on the practice server back in the day. Which brings us to the question, when are we letting the speedrunners into MCC, huh? That's what I want to know.
Depends on how
Give us fine. Give us curry, bro. give us the speedrunners, bro. Let them have it. Let them have it. Yeah, I got a DM and it was like, here's the IP. Welcome to the Dream SMB. Log in when you want. I was like, oh, mad. I am still losing sleep over the fact I got to the final room first and there was no doors.
Alright lads, welcome back to InsideMC, the part of the podcast where I sit down with a very special guest every single week. And this week I'm joined by somebody who I invited on the podcast back in May last year technically, I guess, and someone who I've wanted on for an absolute very long time. I am joined with the GOAT, Seapeekay.
Woo! Heck yeah. All right, I love that. I love hearing people like introduce me or saying things about me. It's well fun.
As long as it's positive, surely, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, what else would people have to say, really? I mean, come on.
Exactly. There's nothing negative that you can say about you. It's crazy. How are you today?
Very good, very good. You are. It's fun timing for me. We're just having a quick little chat about how I'm in between streams, which is fun. So long day for me today, but this is the best day to do it. I'm switched on, I'm ready, and this will maybe give me a little bit of joy as Man United probably get beat by Wigan in about an hour. So lovely.
And for context, we are recording this exactly 32 minutes before that game starts. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
People are going to be 45 minutes in being like, he's watching it. I know he's watching it.
I mean, I've told you already, if you want to watch the game, like, feel free to do so. Even if they score and you react, I'm happy for you to. So.
You're just going to hear me getting more sad.
Okay, maybe don't watch it then. We don't. People think it's the podcast, not the game that's making you sad.
Yeah, true.
We're both drinking as well in common Seapeekay fashion.
Yes, sir.
So, I feel I like in not in like a parasocial way, but I feel like we're quite like not got a lot in common. I guess I can say that, can't I? Without it sounding weird, we've got a lot in common. Like drinking.
We have got a lot in common. We love a little bev. We're both interested in tattoos.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some common ground. I think that's what's going to make this podcast so easy, is because it's just like a little chat, innit?
We're on the same terms, except for you're the GOAT and I'm building my GOAT status, I guess you can say.
Nah, bro, you're already the GOAT. I mean, if it came down to a consistent Minecraft podcast, mate, you're out-goating me.
Yeah, sure. We are going to talk about the All Things MCC podcast. Don't think you dodged the bullet there. We are going to mention it. This is going to be a good podcast. I can feel it. So yeah, what are you drinking, Seapeekay? What are you drinking for this podcast?
Just in case anyone does hear this, I'm on the Heineken just because it's a nice, easy drink to get. But other drinks are available. It's not sponsored unless someone hears this and wants to.
Yeah,
and I'm interested.
Go ahead. I mean, Seapeekay, I mean, even myself, if you want, I'm currently drinking moonshine out of a Bailey's glass. So, if you want to sponsor me as well.
That's a sentence, bro. Like, I've gone, I'm having a Heineken, and you've gone, I'm having moonshine from a Bailey's glass. Like, that's a one-up if I've ever heard one.
It's been a long day. I was working 8 to 5:30, and then I got home, I scuffed down my dinner, wrote down like notes for the podcast, and now we're recording. So it's deserved. I think it's deserved. So.
Exactly. Life comes at you fast.
Exactly. With you though, Seapeekay, I always like to give the intro for you to kind of introduce who you are. For viewers, either I introduce you in the best way possible or probably not the best way possible. So this is your ground to make up for it or cement it. There we go. Who are you?
All right.
What do you do? Maybe even a fun fact. It's clearly your choice.
Oh god. All right. Lovely. All right. Well, I'm Seapeekay or Callum. I've been a full-time content creator for nearly 10 years. By full-time, I mean literally quit my job, and this was my job. I used to sell mobile phone contracts, and now I play video games. I've always played games, and I did this for 3 years alongside like working and going to college and all that stuff. And then I got very, very lucky quite a few times, and now it's my job, and it's super fun. I love football. I love playing video games. I love streaming, and I think that is about everything I do, pretty much.
I think you've summed up pretty perfectly. I mean, we got loads of topics to talk about today anyways, so we are gonna dwell into a lot more deeper than just you love video games, but I think that's a good little summary there. So
I mean, I think it's good. Everything I just told you, if you want to know more, you're gonna find out more in this podcast, right? So easy.
Exactly. So you've been around for a very long time, Seapeekay. Not trying to call you old. Don't worry, I'm sorry. I more mean, you've been doing content full time for 10 years. I count that as a very long time, no matter the age you are.
I think there's no other way to look at it, really. I think for myself, in my head, I think I was in like maybe the second wave of, people will probably disagree. I think I was in like the second wave of like Minecraft YouTubers to sort of come about. I feel like there was the OG wave of like Captain Sparkles, Pizza Hut, those guys. And then I think I was maybe in maybe the little thing after them, the little section after them. That's how long I've been around. Captain Sparkles was but a boy when I was starting.
It can be a bit hard to kind of categorize it, because it can be like how I've always categorized the OGs, and I could be wrong in thinking this, but this is just opinion based, is like Vicstar, Wolfalls, all of those. And then kind of in the second wave, kind of linking to what you said, would be like you, Smager. I don't know, the people who in MCC now is like partial second, third wave. I know it's a bit of a weird take. It only makes sense if it makes sense, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, it is actually completely opinion based. It's mad. In my head, when I started like making Minecraft content, I wasn't really like watching a lot of Minecraft content. So like even when I was like sort of making videos every day and it was doing well, like I was just really invested in like the group of people I was with. And the only reason I even watched a lot of other people, like when I bumped into like Pizza Hut back in the day and stuff like that, was that we'd all sort of have different groups in an SMP, but all using like the same mod packs. So like I'd search up mod packs to see what other people were doing and be like, oh, that's fun. Like maybe I'll try and do something like that. So that's how I knew about like Pete and stuff from a very long time ago.
And now you interact with them on, I wouldn't say a daily basis, but at least a monthly basis.
Oh yeah.
It depends on MCC season as well.
Absolutely mad. It really is.
It's just, we were talking a little bit before the podcast. I won't get into what we were talking about, but we've essentially narrowed it down that it's just crazy how life works, right? Like just things kind of go full circle and you find out stuff about people and you're like, oh my God, what the heck?
Yeah, no, it is mad. I know there's a lot of conversations about it being like, oh, small world. And then like, I feel like the content space is also quite similar in that like you may never know how connected you are to like other people that are in the same space as you until you like bump into them or you meet them or you play a game with them and they're like, wait, we have tons in common, there's loads happening here. So
exactly. It's like I said at the start of the podcast, with having a bit in common is we've interacted, I've watched your streams and stuff and I've talked to you on chat, but then it's until we actually speak like kind of now as we are, then you realize like, oh, we actually share a lot.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. And this is like one of my favorite things about getting to do what I do, like is I feel like I've sort of built a community of people who like you don't have to have the same interests as me, but there's sort of like a shared interest category where I know there's always stuff you can talk about or chat about, and other people are going to relate to that or have like opinion on it and stuff. So it's fun.
With that though, with you being around for a while, a few years ago, about 10 years ago was when kind of the start of your career happened. When was it exactly? Do you remember?
You know what? That's gonna be a tough one now. So I remember a lot of things about
month. I just mean more so.
No, of course. I'm pretty sure the year that my stuff started blowing up was like 2015. I think I'm trying to work out my full like timeline now. It's like I know when I started the channel. Yeah, it's mad to think it's been that long. It was definitely around 2015 because without boring you with the full story, it's like I started out YouTube like alongside doing other stuff and like started playing. I was a big indie gamer. I'd play a lot of like indie games. Most of that was due to the fact I was playing on a laptop that I bought from Tesco, which for anyone listening who's not from the UK, that's like a big supermarket, like a Walmart vibe. So I got a laptop from there that was absolutely not a gaming laptop. It was just a laptop. And the first like 200, 300 videos on my channel are recorded on this like rickety ass laptop from back in the day. But what that meant was like I had terrible internet, a terrible laptop. Recording was impossible. I had to do everything on like the lowest settings available. But back then, like there was like new Unity games coming out like 100 a day, and you could just like slam the settings on lowest before you even launched it, which gave me a fighting chance. And then I would record a video for like an hour, and then I'd edit it, and then a render was about 8 hours, and an upload was about 8 hours, which is horrendous. And like I sometimes go back and I look at my old videos, and I'm like, it is the funniest thing in the world that I've turned this into a job. Like it really is. Like I go back and look, and this is why I always tell people, like, don't ever think that it can't happen just because your first videos aren't good. Like you've got so much time to work out what you're actually doing. Like I was just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what stuck. Like it was crazy. I'd upload like one Minecraft video, then it'd be like a Slenderman video, and then I'd upload a video being like, what's your favorite pizza topping? And that was a video in my head, and I'm like, yeah, sick. Like they're gonna love that. Like there's that meme that's like, you know, in quotes, and it's like, oh, that's proper sick, I'm gonna post that. That's literally what my career was for the first like 2 years. When I look back at it, I'm like, what was I actually thinking? But at the same time, it let me, you know, sort of work out what does work, what doesn't work, and it led me to the situation where I am today, where now I have, I mean, to be fair, I have absolutely no idea how YouTube works anymore. But it gave me, you know, an outlet to understand content and how to do things and how to create content. So even those absolutely awful videos from back in the day are just a massive part of my journey to get to where I am now.
I always thought this about you as well, is like, and something I respect is you've always been quite good at hopping on trends, and not hopping on trends in a bad way of just doing it for the sake of it being a trend, but like, you know, looking through your channel, even linking back to the Slenderman game and stuff like that, you were able to make content on what was popular at the time. You was able to execute it well, and I say execute it well in a sense of how you've just described that you used to play on a non-gaming laptop from Tesco, but you were still able to constantly, wasn't it a time where you was uploading like 2 videos a day or something? I remember hearing you say on stream one time, or am I tricked? Yeah, it's something daily or something, right?
So yeah, if you, I mean, obviously it's nearly impossible to go back and see stuff, and like some videos were like literally so bad, I was like, okay, these are getting like, this is getting like yeeted off the channel. And like I look back at some of them now and I'm just like, yeah, this is like every video that's left is like a representation where I'm like, this is like a funny me learning process of like, you know, I learned how to do something because of this. But there was a time, and it was actually, I mean, it was like a super toxic time on YouTube, to be fair. And some people will agree with it, some people won't agree with it. It all depends on the kind of creator you were at the time. But something really interesting that happened that like I've spoken about a few times, but I feel like, especially since I turned to streaming, I tell the same story so many times because you never know who's watching, and like, yeah, loads of people have heard it, but like some people haven't, and they're fun stories.
Yeah.
Years and years and years and years ago, PewDiePie used to do these videos where he would like shout out up and coming creators, and you like you'd submit your video that you wanted him to see, and it'd go on like his like forum, and then I'm assuming he had a team who would flick through them all, and they would pick, you know, their favorite creators, and it used to just be one person that won it. And then one year he was going to do 10 people, and I was like, oh, me and my friend Edge at the time were like, oh, we gotta submit our videos, man, like let's go, this could be it. At the same time thinking, what, you know, wild, why would he ever see them? And the video came out and we weren't in it. Sorry to disappoint anyone who thought it was going to be a really good story. But it does get better, so we weren't in it, right? My friend Edge or Brett at the time tweeted PewDiePie saying like, video was great, super disappointed that me and like him, he tagged me on Twitter, didn't get in the video, but understand why the 10 people you picked were great. And he replied to him and was like, oh, I saw your guys' videos, let me put you in as a bonus mention. So we're in the description of this video called like Fridays with PewDiePie. I think it's called Wall Twerk, and we're in the description of that video, and alongside us in that description, who also got added as a bonus mention, was none other than Ethan Nestor Crank Gameplays. He was in there as a bonus mention, and that's how I actually met him. That's how me and my friend met him. But the most notable person, in my opinion, who won a shout out in that video, which helped kickstart their career, was none other than Mr. Jacksepticeye. And he won one of the shout outs, and he was making like, I think GTA videos or something at the time. And I remember that I saw his channel, and at that point he started uploading 2 videos a day, I guess, to, you know, try and ride off the success of being So I started doing the same thing. Like, I took the day off work the next day just because I was so excited that I got to put in the description of this video, and I was like, I need to make videos, I need to grind, this is my chance, which obviously is ridiculous because like back then I feel like getting a shout out or getting mentioned in a description was a much bigger deal than it is now. I don't think people check descriptions as much anymore. Like, you know, I don't think being in someone's video and them tagging you does as much as it used to. But that's because I think back then YouTube was like a massive place of discovery, and it was like, oh, like let's see who else there is that makes content like this. Whereas I feel that's shifted a little, and that could just be my cynical old man feeling that way. But I just think it's different now, where like I feel like if you make a video with something to put in the description, it might not do as much as it used to, but that's because there's a lot more people doing it now, I suppose. But it is mad, and I absolutely love that story as well. It's like a crazy concept to me that, you know, someone who at some point was like the biggest YouTuber on the platform threw me in his description. So wild.
I think a few times we're going to link back to that small world topic that we've mentioned a few times already. We are like, even the Jacksepticeye part, like it's crazy how you're in the same description as Jacksepticeye. And I'd like to imagine you've interacted with them at one point?
Yes, I mean, especially now, like, I mean, obviously back then, Jack really blew up from that. He started gaining like massive amounts of subs, and I mean, so deserved as well. Like, Jack's one of the funniest creators out there, in my opinion. And for the longest time, like, he was, if someone asked me who my favorite YouTuber was, like, it was him. It was my go-to. To the point where, like, there was like this time when I was like really down about some stuff, and Lizzie, or LD Shadow Lady, my subs made this like big video all about, like, you know, just basically try to cheer me up. And I was like a great creator, all this stuff. It was like very, very sweet. And then like it had my friends in it, like it had Joel in, it had Lizzie in it. And then Lizzie was at the end and she was like, also, I got a special message from someone who wants you to, like, you know it's going to be okay. And she got Jacksepticeye to make a like 30-second video to me, just, you know, saying like, he heard I was a fan, like he heard I'm going through some stuff right now. And he just wants to know that like everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, you know, it's crazy to me. And then it was years and years before I actually I bumped into him at VidCon, the first VidCon I ever went to. He knew I was going and said like, oh, so you there? And I was like, okay, yeah. Like I just thought he was being, you know, nice. And then, yeah, I bumped into him. And I remember it's the first time ever that I like panicked talking to someone. I didn't know what to say. I froze up. I was like clammy. I didn't know what to do. Yeah, we had a little like back and forth. And then again, there's long periods of time between seeing each other. I then saw him at like a film premiere once, like Disney had hosted a premiere. I saw him there and he actually came up to me and was like, hey man, how are you? I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. And then, yeah, weirdly, we ended up in Tommy and its live show together. So that was a fun, you know, little...
Oh, you were in Tommy and its live show?
Yeah, I did one show in Brighton. I was, it was when, I think it was Freddie and Bilzo were mimes who started doing some real odd stuff to each other.
Oh, wait, that one. Oh,
yeah, and then we came back out as fake mimes and we just got to roast Tommy in it again, which is actually, you know, so far 2 for 2, one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, I was getting confused with the how to be a millionaire, because I went to watch that in London. So that was pretty.
No, we were in his like taster show. I think, right? He was like seeing if it was. I think he was seeing if it was going to be something that hit, and then he went out on his big tour. So
and you were the startup. You were part of the startup. Looking at it.
That's it. I was the one of the opening acts. But I think I got that gig because there was a really nice moment. I got invited to do the roast of Tommy in it a while ago now, and he actually said he just wanted me to come be in the audience, and I was like, oh cool. So I got on the tube, and then he messaged me and was like, oh actually, we'd like everyone to come to have a go at roasting me. So I wrote down these like 6 or 7 roasts in the 15 minutes that I was on the tube, and afterwards he was like, it was actually really funny, mate. I was like, I think that's a compliment. Felt a bit. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. You didn't think I was going to be funny, Tommy? So, and then I got to do another video with him that got scrapped for about 2 years, I think, and then it came out when he was selling tickets for that last tour. I think he just wanted to use a video to promote the tour. So it was me, him, and Will N.E. playing Shock Twister.
Jeez, fair enough.
Yeah, mad. And that got binned for nearly 2 years and still came out. Never lose hope.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, like part of the reason why I wanted you on the podcast, because I find you just to be a really, really cool content creator, but you've also just got so many bloody stories. And that's something, like, I mean, I literally said it in the tweet, like an all-round eventful creator, and that was putting it in the most basic terms. Like, you genuinely have just got so, and this is all stories from what, like, not really any topics that I've asked. Imagine the topics that I am going to talk about, the stories you have.
I can't wait.
I know you're meant to be streaming. I think you said on stream that you, like your previous streams, I caught the end of it, that you was going to go live at about like 9 or 10. Depending on how long you can talk for it, it might go a little bit over if you're down to.
I mean, I need to go by like 10, but like it's fine to run for now.
I mean, you know, you it's your podcast at the end of the day, so you can limit as much as you want to, kind of thing. I'm happy I can talk for so long. That's my issue. A bit of a boring question then, and I hate to go back to it, but I do want to ask. As far as I'm aware, CPK, the actual letters, are your initials, right? Yeah. So why the C word version, CPK? Where did that come from?
So this is guess what? Fun story. So
here we go again.
As I said to you, so like I had an old YouTube channel that got shut down hilariously because I played Final Fantasy, I want to say 12, or maybe 13 or 12. I went and I got it and I streamed. I recorded a bunch of videos on it and I scheduled them all to upload while I was asleep. And the channel got terminated because it turns out that like the first hour and a half of the game was like entirely copyrighted. So you were supposed to like cut that out, but that was before I had any like contacts anywhere. Like I didn't know that. I just bought the game. It happened to come a day early, so I uploaded loads of videos. My channel just got like nuked. It was awful, right? But it wasn't like a channel that I did much on anyway. It was mostly just like me playing random games and stuff. But I had a taste of YouTube before I even started uploading properly. But then I dabbled in like horror games and stuff on that channel. So I actually made a new YouTube channel. And this is where I was going to be like, oh, this is going to be my one if I'm going to make a run at it. And I actually, because I was doing horror games, I actually called it Nightmare, but like Knight Mare, because that's my last name, Knight. And I thought, oh, that's a funny play on words, like horror games, nightmare, clever. And then I made the channel, and like no word of a lie, like 5 minutes after I made it, I was like, CPK, mad. And I just deleted the channel and made a new one again.
Oh.
And that was like, I have this stupid logic that like back then channels with 3-syllable names were doing really well. So there was like PewDiePie, CNanas.
I mean, it makes sense though. Like it's a theory, but it makes sense.
Right. And I just had this weird idea. So then I was just going to like in my head, I played a lot of games and like, I grew up on like RuneScape and stuff. And I knew that like 3-letter usernames were pretty rare in general. So I was like, well, I'm never going to get the 3 letters CPK. So I was like, how do I make it so I can have this? I just spelled it out phonetically. And I was like, all right, SEAPEEKAY. And people often ask why that C and why that P, because it could be either, because there's 2 different ways to spell them. And I was like, literally, luck of the draw. I wrote it down the first time. That's how it came out.
Yeah, the other way around just wouldn't hit as much. Come to think of it.
No, and like obviously it could be like SEEPEE or like SEAPEA.
It just wouldn't hit as much. The way it is just works.
No, but I do think I have one of the most misspelled names in history. Like, I was actually going through this on stream the other day. I did an advert for Sony that like ran on the television. They spelled my username wrong. Like that is just so funny to me because people do the wrong C or the wrong P like all the time.
I mean, to avoid that, I straight up just tagged you. When the announcement, I just straight up just tagged you. It was perfect, and I will.
That's
when
the easiest way.
Comes out as well.
You can't get it wrong then. That's the easiest way to make sure you get it right.
Exactly. I mean, I've had a similar experience to you as well. Actually, so I used to be a Bedrock content creator. Believe it or not, CPK, I've only been in this community since March last year.
March.
Yeah.
That's mad, actually.
That's when I started making Java content, which is quite funny. And it's kind of links back to, I say this on a lot of the podcasts, but it's once again who's listening. Someone might not have had it, like you said with your streams. I've only been making content since March. However, back on Bedrock Edition, my original logo was just a planet, because Orbitz planet. That was the idea. It was like a customized made planet, because I've had a mate for like the last like 4 years who's just really, really good at graphic design. So he made that. And then I had this like I like weird kind of theory at the time, which I mean I guess technically paid off to be true because it benefited me at the time, was anyone who had a face profile picture on YouTube, like be an original character or whatever, or like their like face drawn or whatever, they were doing much better for views. So be it. I commissioned someone to turn like my character into like the logo, the planet logo, but on a blindfold on like my face kind of thing. And my views just started skyrocketing out of nowhere. To be fair, my content did improve at the same time, but that's not the point. But
it's the exact same thing. Like it doesn't even have to do something. It doesn't even have to like actually make any effect. As soon as you've like convinced yourself of that, like I think we have like a similar mindset where I was like, I just saw these like 3-syllable names and all this stuff, and I was like, nah, I'm doing it, mate. I was like, that's it, I'm going in. That's it. And once you've set your mind on it, like even if it is just that your content gets better, like there's a chance your content got better because you believed it was going to do better. Because you made this small change. So clearly mindset is everything.
Mind over matter, right? That's what I'm saying, guys. So.
Exactly.
Oh crap. Okay. And then but CPK is your initials, right? I am right in saying that.
That is it. And the P is my last remaining piece of anonymity on the internet. Everyone always asks me what the P is, and they never get it out of me.
Don't worry, I wasn't planning on asking.
No, that is how it will. That is how it will stay for the foreseeable future. I might set some
very public.
I might set some mad sub goal. 10K Twitch subs, mate. I'll leak it.
Didn't you set a sub goal to get a tattoo, and now you have to get out of like a crow? Or did you? Reach out or no?
Yeah. I'm sure we're gonna get into this at some point, so I'll save most of the story. But it's it's been a wacky couple of weeks on stream, and I had 175 Twitch subs at like the 12th of December, and I think by the 2nd of January or the 3rd of January we'd hit 1,750.
Jeez.
Which is, it's crazy to me. It still blows my mind, and I think part of it is because I've been around this industry for so long that people come and go in this industry all the time. It can be a quick buzz for some people, and so I always convince myself I must be doing something right to to stick around for so long, But yeah, I've got the crow thing. I'm just working out whether I'm going to get that done here or whether I'm going to get that done when I travel out to Portugal. But again, I'm sure that's going to come up in conversation later in the podcast, so stay tuned.
Okay, I didn't know about this either. So yes, this will 100% be coming up later. What the heck? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess like more kind of basic topics of just your past. Like just basic topics to kind of get the answer to them essentially. So okay, this is gonna sound really stupid if I'm wrong. I could have sworn your skin is a fox.
Yeah.
So somebody commented under the tweet saying, "Why is your skin a badger?" And I thought it's making me like second doubt now because I could have sworn you're a fox and you are.
No, they're defo having you on, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
It's there's actually, I mean, not a massively fun story about that, but it's so when I was making Minecraft content, I don't think it started as a fox, honestly. But there was a time, and I'm probably gonna get the name wrong now, but it was like iBallistic Squid, Stampy, and those guys had something called like the Magic Animal Club or something.
I feel like that was I
feel like that was the name. I am actually just gonna quickly fact check myself, but the Magic Animal Club, and it was like Stampy, Squid, and a bunch of other people, but they had animal skins, and this was at the same time that I was just starting to like try Minecraft content, and it was another one of those stupid things where I was like, oh, animal skins, guess I'll do that. So I straight up just went online. I was like, what animals do I like? It was a 50-50 toss-up between it being this or a red panda. That was it. And chose fox. And I've been getting relentlessly called a furry ever since, basically. Real fun.
I've never thought to call you a furry, but now you've put in my mind, so thank you.
It's all right, it's all right. I've cycled out of it now. My character is a human with a fox mask, mate. You can't do it anymore. It's gone. Opportunity's gone.
Half furry, surely.
You know, you can have permission to say it once at some point in the next week, and you won't get in any trouble.
All right, I'll take it. I need to pick the stream. I'll pick the stream. With like the Animal Club and stuff like that. So for the viewers, in case you don't know this, because the last time I referenced this was about 2 years ago before the podcast, and this is, I guess, news to you as well. I used to own a YouTube channel called BoyGamer909. I think the videos are maybe 8-9 years old now, and I was a massive iBallistic Squid fan. So in those videos,
no way.
Yep, in those videos, you can see me wearing the iBallistic Squid Minecraft Bedrock skin. I think I bought for about £2.99. I know it was a squid skin. It wasn't iBallistic Squid skin, but it was the skin that he used. It's quite It's quite funny.
That is unreal.
And the subscribed channels, and I'm gonna fact check myself here. Is I've got the exact channels right down. I say it right down. They're literally my subs are public on the channel. BoyGamer909.
Yeah.
The videos 13 subscribers. Videos are 9 years old. Subscriptions: Serious Gamer, which was one of my friends at the time, Dan TDM, iBallistic Squid, Stampy Longhead, Beijing Canadian, and Moralier.
The goats only, mate.
I guess that them names there are what I'd class as like back to earlier with the like first wave. That's what I'd kind of class as like the first wave content creators.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just funny that you mentioned like the whole iBallistic Squid and stuff. It's like, oh, like I literally used to be a massive fanboy. I like their Quest to Kill the End Dragon series. I remember they've fully deleted their channel, which is quite sad. But I used to have a friend who made like a series on it, and for the time, like maybe 7 years ago, she was getting about like 1K 2K views on it, and it was doing quite well, all things considered back then.
I mean, I have a video from, you might like recognize this. I have a video from 9 years ago. I just checked myself. May 2nd, 2014, and it was me trying to join the Reef, which I think was Squid's server back in the day.
Did you succeed?
Nope, it's called How Not to Test the Reef server. So I did not connect. It was like breaking because so many people were trying to join because Squiddy was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can. I guess nostalgia wise, they still are, you know.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Squid's back on making stuff, I think. He's with Ashdub's back as well. I mean, it's wild. It's wild.
2015, did you say?
2014.
2014.
Seapeekay the Reef.
I was been 2 days away
9 years ago.
10.
Oh, God. Next question.
This really sums up how old you are, doesn't it?
Jesus. Next question.
I guess one more thing. It's not looking on your past. It's more of and we will probably bring up like the topic of TwitchCon in general at one point. But this is just this. I'm kind of starting off the podcast with more generalized topics before we get into set topics because I have like a few of those. So in case you guys don't watch like Seapeekay streams or maybe keep up with them on Twitter, you might have missed a hint that they have a wife. It might have gone over your head. maybe you missed it, somewhere. They don't mention it enough. Is their issue, I think.
Exactly.
But you have a wife now, CPK. You got married in Vegas, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Very fun time.
Depending on how much you can talk about the whole situation, when did because this was kept in the dark completely, and I don't know how much
no one knew.
Stream, but when did you propose? How did you propose? Was there anything special? If you can share?
It was a very interesting one. So we were in Vegas the year before the TwitchCon we went to, and we were staying in it was actually after TwitchCon San Diego, and we was like, we're this close to Vegas, we should go for a few days. So we went to Vegas for like 3 days just to experience it. It was like super fun, and then we sort of joked around a little bit about let's get married, and we decided not to, and was like, well, if it comes back around where we're actually coming back to Vegas, let's have a serious conversation about it. Let's see where we are. And then literally about 3 months later, TwitchCon announced that it was going to be in Vegas, and I was like, huh, that is wild. That is how this has all happened. So yeah, we spoke about it briefly, and then we actually didn't really speak about it much until a couple of months before TwitchCon was coming up. And it's very non-traditional. We just had a conversation about it, and then we went out. We actually just skipped straight to wedding rings. We got wedding rings, and then we had a list of people who we were going to invite. We wanted it to be quite small. Even those people didn't know they were invited until 2 days before, pretty much. A couple of people knew in advance. I'd asked a couple of people because I knew they had panels. For the most part, no one even that was at the event knew it was happening either. And that's what made it was actually after MCC IRL, we did a meet and greet, and it was going to be an hour long afterwards. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. It went for about 2.5 hours, and I saw I had to rush off because I had to go pick my marriage license up. So I was sat doing a meet and greet being like, oh my God, guys, we actually need to hurry this up. I feel terrible, but I really need to go because I'm getting married tomorrow and I need to go pick up my marriage license. But there's actually a hilarious photo. I don't think we've shared it anywhere yet, and I will at some point. I just keep forgetting to get around to it. The way it works in Vegas is you go to a marriage license bureau and you do all the documentation there. And then when you leave, there's a little photo booth. And obviously you're not married until that paperwork is filed. And then that's kind of what the ceremony is. It's just sort of someone marrying you, and then they file the document for you.
Yeah.
Technically, we could have just filed the document ourselves, and it'd be like, well, that's still a marriage. But we wanted to have a little ceremony and stuff. And because we went straight after the MCC event, the first photo we ever took after signing our marriage documents, I'm actually in my Purple Pandas esports shirt.
No way.
Which is just the funniest thing in the world, because we have literally just signed all our documents to be legally married, and the photo is Mitch looking lovely and me in a Purple Pandas jersey, and it's jarring to look back on, but it's just so funny. And yeah, that's it. Then the next day, literally had a small group of people pull up to a venue, went out after, that was it, married.
I love to do this thing where I do podcast archives. It's completely up to you. But if you wanted, I could pressure you into tweeting it right now, and then it'd be a podcast exclusive law. Do you tweet it?
Let me see if I have it.
Because it's happened quite a few times in the last few podcasts where there's a podcast exclusive law where I'm okay, yeah, you should probably I kind of bring something to someone's mind, and then they end up doing it while on the podcast, and it's funny to look back on oh crap, that actually happened while we were recording.
Let me see if I have it. I don't know if I have it or if Mitch has it.
Hold on. If you don't, of course, no pressure. Just
I'm scrolling back through. It was quite. Wait, hold on. That's just actually getting married. Wait, hold. Sorry, I don't have it. I'm rooting for it. I can't find it.
Oh no.
I will get to it though. I will get to it at some point. Okay. I'll find it and I'll tweet it and I'll credit you.
You don't have to credit me. Knowing you'll probably end up never tweeting it ever.
Honestly, yeah, that is more likely than anything else.
But still, you never know. You on stream about it. Remember when you said it?
Yeah.
It's fine. So I like to do this thing on the podcast where I kind of link to kind of show I relate in a sense, and this isn't really me showing I relate, it's more just scenarios. But so I guess a quick story about my mum and dad, which is quite fun, is so my dad, before my mum and him were married, he bought her a friendship ring. They were dating, they were together, but he bought a nice little ring as a friendship ring. And everyone was oh my God, he proposed, and she's no, he hasn't. She's oh my God, he's proposed. So, and she's no, it's just a friendship ring and stuff like that. And then one day they were sitting down at breakfast, and they were eating cereal, and my dad was so do you want to get married? She's what? He's well, everyone already thinks we're married anyway, so we might as well just get married. It's all right.
I love that.
And they've been together for 25 odd years now, or nearly 25 years.
Sometimes the unconventional ones are the easiest and best, mate.
So it's just funny that, I guess it's just kind of to show that, you don't have to go all out for it to last. They've been together since my brother was born, and so it's just a funny scenario to think of, that you guys were kind of just chilling. If we ever come Vegas again, and then it's written in the stars of like TwitchCon Vegas gets announced. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, honestly, actually, it happened like weirdly fast after we had that conversation, which is so funny. But like, we were both in a situation where we were like, we wanted to do it anyway. We kind of always felt like we had been married anyway, because like when we got together in it was like May time of 2019. I always get the year wrong. 2019. Then like what, 6-7 months, about a year later, like COVID hit. So we basically moved in a few months before. And like, that was it was one of those things where I was like, if you can get through the 2 years almost of being with each other in like apartment every single day, then like, it's basically like being married anyway. So we've always sort of felt the same way, to be fair.
How did you guys meet, if you don't mind me asking? I know I'm dwelling into this a lot. I don't mean to, I guess I'm just curiosity.
Insomnia Gaming Festival.
No way.
Yeah. So Mitch was getting some events experience, like working at the event, and I was there, and I went to go do like I went to go do like a meet and greet, and she was like, oh cool, like, and then she turned around and like Googled me and to double check I was who I said I was. She's like, humbled me on the spot, and then we got chatting a bunch after that, and then hung out loads, and then that was basically it after Insomnia. It's funny because she was working there, but she has like little interest in games. It was like just to get the events experience, really.
That's fair. Like, you don't have to have 100%. Interest.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad how we met, to be fair, but it's just one of those things where it's probably when you like least expect it, or in like the least likely place you find the best people. So, and here we are, pushing 5 years on now. Mad.
I mean, me and my girlfriend met a warehouse job, and we've just had our 2-year anniversary. So
I mean, it's the most unlikely places.
Exactly. Are you off to Insomnia this year in March? I've already got like the train ticket booked and hotel booked.
I don't know. I did 20 Insomnias, and like I feel like I mean, I sort of was the house band there. I'd be there every single year. Like if you look any time from like I-52 through to wherever we're at now, what are we like, I-72 or something, 73, 72?
Something like that, yeah.
Like you will see I am there at every event, and they used to do 3 a year. So like my numbers are crazier. We've had booths there, we've had massive meet and greets, we've had stage stuff, and like I go now for the social aspects, but I'm at a point where I'd rather buy a ticket and just go myself. Like, I don't really see the same benefit of like going and like as a creator. Like there's no real difference other than that you can go in like a green room.
It's also a free ticket.
It is a free ticket. You are right. But
I get what you mean, 100%. Yeah.
It's one of those things where like for the stuff that I do, it was getting like very samey for me, and like that's no disrespect to Insomnia. Like it's still for me probably the best gaming event like in the UK.
You've done it a lot.
Yeah, I've just done it a lot, and like nothing is like the event doesn't change really. Like it is the same pretty much every year. Like down to the booths that are there are very similar. The creators most of the time are very similar. I mean, if you look like 5 years ago, the creators that were going then aren't really going anymore, and I just sort of stuck at it. But I go now for the social aspect. I go, and it's like the one time like that I get easy access to seeing good old Jack Massey Welsh. Jack sucks at life, so I'm always keen. Honestly, if he told me he was going, I would buy a ticket just to go hang out with him. That's it. It's that simple.
Yeah. The only ever one I've been to was in August 2018. It was I-63. It was when FIFA 19 was being previewed there. So
that is wild. That is actually wild.
I have a funny story about Insomnia as well. I have 2 funny stories. So the first one was I only have 5 pictures from that Insomnia because basically my brother got it for me for Christmas because I always wanted to go. But I'm at an age now and like financial place now where I can kind of do events on my own. That's why I've applied for a creator pass, sadly got rejected, but I also applied through like InsaneOrbitzz. So I've tried reapplying through the podcast. Hope for the best. We'll see. Yeah. But if I don't, I'll just end up buying the tickets anyways. But I got the hotel booked and the train ticket and stuff like that. But my parents because I got family in Birmingham, my parents ended up like driving down and then dropping me and my brother off at the con, and we'd finished the convention at 1:30. I really wanted to meet Nerd Out, and then meet and greet was at like 4:30. Yeah. So we sat down for an hour, and then I turned to him and I was like, as much as I'd love to meet them, this isn't worth it. Yeah. And I was like, it's not worth it thing, but just sitting there for another 2 hours just to like say hello and get pictures, like I'll have opportunities in the future to meet cool people. And it's really ironic because like I have had opportunities. I met you at TwitchCon, I met like Turbo at TwitchCon, I met Quackity at TwitchCon, like I met a lot of people, and it's like it's kind of weird how I said to him I'd have opportunities to meet cool people, and like a few years later when I become financially stable in the age where I can go to stuff myself, I'm like I meet people who I'm heavily invested in their content. Yeah, 100%. That's weird. Did you ever meet Nerd Out? I never met Nerd Out, no. Oh mate, he's still like Nerd Out's still a frequent Insomnia guy, mate. Get yourself there. I'll put a word in. I'll put a word in. Yeah. I'll put a word in. You're promising a lot of favors this podcast. podcast, CPK.
Mate, that's it. I'm gonna if he's going, like he's the only other person I know that is as much of like the house band as I am.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. We'll see. If he's going, mate, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna be the middleman.
I mean, if you end up going also, surely you can just introduce me. You know, it'll be the most awkward situation. Hi, this is Orbitz. They wanted to meet you back in 2018, but never did.
Exactly. No, I live for that, mate. Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I'm still very 50-50. I mean, the likelihood is that I'll like be in the area. I've got friends who live out like in Birmingham as well, so like, you know, even if I don't really come to the con much, I'll be like in the area. I think I know them well enough where like they probably would, you know, let me come in and meander around for a couple of hours. But I love the conversation. I mean, you know, I had some opportunities with them to do some cool stuff, but it's just hit and miss. It's planning stuff, and you know, it's tough to do. So I think I'll probably still show up, but I don't know in what capacity at the minute.
I don't know if you recognize. You probably do because they're the co-hosts of like Midweek. Is Captain AJX?
Yeah, of course.
I'm going with them. So
sick.
Yeah, it's gonna be
run around causing havoc, mate.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, because I have to pay for a ticket, I can't. I've always kind of said to myself, like, same with MegaCon, which we'll lead into next before we kind of get into like the main topics. Is like I'm only going on a Saturday because I can only really, if I'm paying for the ticket, I can only really warrant going one day. Because I'm like, what am I going to do for 2 days? But if the ticket's for free, I'll kind of just freeball it and figure out something. If that makes sense. I just don't want to pay for 2 days worth of tickets to go for like an hour on the second day. Like it's the same as yesterday. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. It is very similar. You gotta choose the right day. See your mates one day, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean the second thing I was gonna get as well is I have a picture on my phone of like CubeCraft. It's like I randomly took pictures of like the CubeCraft PCs, and this was before I was making Minecraft content. This was before I got back into Minecraft scene, and it's just really ironic because I ended up like being, when I kind of started up my content, I started by heavily making CubeCraft content. It's really ironic that like I randomly took a picture of their PCs at Twitch at Insomnia, and then all of a sudden I've become a CubeCraft YouTuber. So
that is mad. I feel like they were always there as well. They always had a little area set up where you could play Minecraft and stuff. I remember it well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the picture right now, and it's just funny because I went for FIFA, I didn't go for Minecraft. So
that is mad.
I mean, we might as well stay on topic with this one. With like, I mean, this podcast hasn't really got a format to it anymore, but I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying just having a talk with you.
Yeah, of course. Same,
we were talking a little bit about MegaCon. I was asking if you're going to MegaCon before the podcast, and then literally 2 minutes before I hit record, your panel got announced. At 2 p.m. on Saturday, which is the day I'm going. So I will most likely go to. I say most likely. I will go to the panel. I don't really have much to say. I kind of just wanted to say that because this podcast is going to come out a week after MegaCon, so it doesn't really make too much sense. Yeah. We're not gonna, not run any massive promo, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like I actually go to Sitsi because I know the guy who runs it, and it's so weird because obviously like it is MegaCon. You are right. You keep calling it MegaCon, and you are right. It is MegaCon.
But like
City, isn't it?
But no, it's super strange because it's like 3 or 4 different events that have all come together to make one event. So like I've been going to Summer in the City for ages. Like they actually, back in the day, me and the Orion Sound went because they were trying to sort of like shoehorn gamers into Sitsi, because Sitsi was very like vlog content heavy. That's where like Zoella went and Alfie Days went and stuff like that, and they wanted to try and bring some gaming content in. So like me and Ollie started going, and then some more gamers started going, and we've been going ever since. I think that was like 2018. I actually have on my desk, I can tell you the year, it was 2018. I have a Gamer of the Year, which was an award they gave me, which was actually a full-on award. They had me come on stage and accept it and everything. It was wild. And that was like the year that we'd started going, and they were trying to get content, like gamers in. And now I actually just like know the guy who organizes it really well. Like that's we see each other all the time. We hang out. So like, he's always just like, let's go and see. I'm like, yeah, go on. So it's like a very casual like working relationship. And then, he always gives me a couple of like panels and a meet and greet up, and it's super fun. And our worry originally when me and Ollie started going was like no one would care we were there, because it was like we were gaming creators and everyone was like there for the vloggers, But it actually turned out to be like some of our busier events where people were like, oh my god, like I had no idea you'd be here. It's like, this is very cool. I like that. So yeah, I'll be at Sitsi. I've got no massive plans for events this year, but I mean, you know what I'm like. People listening probably know what I'm like. I'll end up somehow at pretty much everything that's going on.
You'll end up going to every single one, yeah.
That's it. So
you're 50-50 about Insomnia, but in like a month you'll be 100% about Insomnia.
I mean, like literally 2 days before I'll be like, nah, I'm not going. Then the day before I'll be like, yeah, go on.
Why not? I mean, I'm getting the train from Euston, so do you get the train down, or do you drive down when you go to Insomnia?
It's hit and miss, to be fair, because like I was saying, like when I moved to London a few years ago, and like I got rid of my car just because I don't really need one here.
Need it, yeah.
So like every now and again, depends on what like I'm doing afterwards. Like if it's straight up just go to the event, come back, I will probably just get a train train. But if it's sometimes when I go like up north again, I'll like go up to see my family who live like a bit further north. So like sometimes I'll just drive to, rent a car and drive down and stuff. So, but usually like train's usually the go-to. It's like, I mean, it's fast as hell, as you'll know. It's fast as hell to get to Birmingham. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. Then it's good. Good stuff.
What is I'm hoping this doesn't change after like it happens, because then it's going to make the podcast a bit interesting. What is your panel about at MegaCon?
You know what? This is the best thing about it. Like when we were talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, cool! The panel's been announced." I haven't been told the times for my panels yet, so that was actually news to me. That's what that was. I don't know I do not know what the panel is. I have no idea. It's called Creating Worlds, and it's me and like some of the Minecraft creators. So like,
it's literally called Minecraft Creators Panel.
Yeah, so I'm guessing we are just going to be waffling about playing Minecraft, to be fair, mate. But that's my best guess. The best thing, we can come back to this. I'll reply to when the podcast drops and be like, yeah, completely wrong, mate. It was nothing to do with what we said.
Your image goes hard, though. I'll say that much.
Oh yeah, they have upgraded me now. I used to get like random photos, but then when I started going to so many events, like I started getting some like fancy Getty images by like paparazzi people. So I started sending those through as my headshots. I'm like, yeah, look, I look cool. I believe that one.
I'm fancy.
I think that's exactly. I think that's actually from the premiere of Lockwood & Co., which is like a Netflix series that was on for a bit.
Oh man, you've been up to so much. What the heck?
I have. It's been a fun year.
It's been a fun year for you. Right. Specific topics. I mean, we've been recording now for over 50 minutes. Yep. And we're only just getting into the specific topic section. So this is certainly going to be a fun podcast. I mean, I bring on guests who I love talking to. So it's like, it's going to make it very easy to edit as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So I think we'll kind of go in order of a few things. But the first thing we'll start with is MCC.
Yes.
So you run a channel called All Things MCC.
I do.
It's majority nowadays like top 10 plays, and like you've done a few. Like you've done a Reddit roundup. I don't know if it's deja vu, but your title, the most recent one, like why Mumble Jumble will never play MCC. I could have sworn I've seen that title before.
Really?
When I saw it, I was like, that title looks so familiar. But then when I search it up, why Mumble Jumble will never play MCC, it doesn't exist anywhere. I'm like, I could have sworn you used that title before, and I scrolled through All Things MCC for ages, and I just never found it. I was like, okay, I'm very tripping apparently.
That would have been hilarious too, because like, I mean, well, I'm sure we're gonna get more into this, but like a lot of the time like Neb will just pitch a title, so like, there would have been a very real chance that like back in the day someone who used to work like on the channel used that, and then like Neb just came up with the same one. But yeah, it doesn't like we're the only one at the minute, so unless it's hidden away somewhere. It's
the only one. Yeah, I thought I'd seen it. Maybe it was just deja vu. You know when you get like random moments of deja vu?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I just got hit with one of those. But yeah, so MCC, the first one you played, I believe, was MCC season 2. We had Noxite on the podcast a little while back, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and he mentioned how like MCC season 1 was, we weren't even sure they were going to make a season 2. So MCC season 1 was originally just meant to be like, just to throw out their idea, see if it works, and then you actually got invited to when it became a main kind of tournament aspect. So I don't really have a question. I kind of will ask, I have a few questions, but I'm also just wanted to give the standing point of what I know and just let you waffle about it however you feel. Yeah,
I mean, what's interesting is, so obviously the reason I was even interested in MCC is because like Scott contacted me and was just like, hey man, like I'm doing this event, do you want to be in it? I was like, oh cool. So and again, people will fact check me on this, and to be fair, it's been so long that I could be wrong, but so I was meant to be in MCC 1, and I got invited on like a paid brand trip to San Francisco.
Yeah,
so I was supposed to go to San Francisco, and then I literally got to this was when I was up north too, so I literally traveled from like Liverpool to London, and then got to the airport, and I tried to check in for my flight, and it was like, there is no flight. I was like, huh? And it turns out like my whole flight had been cancelled, and the only time they could fly me was the next day, but this trip was literally for like 48 hours, right? So I had to contact the people who would send me out there, being like, well, there's really no point in me going. Like, can't fly out there for less than 24 hours. Like, that's mad. Like, I'd spend more time on the plane. So then I literally went home and messaged Scott and was like, hey man, like, turns out I'm actually not going. Is there any chance I can still be in it? He was like, I'm really sorry, I had to fill your spot, which, makes complete sense. And someone will fact check me here, I've been told since then that was how Quig got in. So like, I couldn't play. And like, Quig was like basically the next in line to be in it. So Quig probably would have been in MCC 2 anyway. But the reason for MCC 1 apparently was because I missed out and someone had to sub in, and they got Quig. And like, obviously Quig went on to be like the GOAT. stoked, which is just so cool. But yeah, I was supposed to be in 1, and then I was in 2. I think I've only missed like 4 or 5 ever, and that is purely just
you missed MCC, the one where they had like the trophy system, right? Or were you in that one? I could have sworn you missed it.
To be fair, so
party.
I just
party.
remember.
Did you miss party?
I don't think I was in party. Oh no, wait, I was in party. Wait, was I in party? Wait, I was in party. Although it just says I just went on my MCC wiki just to double check.
Wiki.
And it says I was in it. It said I got individually 13th, but then it says team placement to be decided.
So because it was by trophies, remember? That was a weird system, so it was a bit, it was a bit interesting.
I did MCC 2 all the way through. Oh, and then I didn't do 10. And then I did MCC 2 to 8, and then I did 9 through to 16. I missed 17. Then I did 18. All the way through to 26. Oh, no. And then 27, 28, I wasn't in. And then that's the first time I've ever missed 2 in a row. And just to clarify, this is like, obviously I know Scott very well. Like, everyone has to miss events, and it comes down to usually just being like, hey man, like, you've been in the last 7. And it's like, yeah, that's all good. Like, I don't think there's been a time when I've missed it where I couldn't make it. I think it's always just been, once you've been in a lot, there's only a few people who have the guaranteed invite. So like, I think I definitely am in the running to get an invite pretty much every time. But also understand that, like, I can't be in every event. That's not how it works, So any I've missed have always been, due to I've just been in a lot beforehand, to the point where I was telling you just before that I went to Ireland for an event, and I took a whole laptop, rented out a business center in the hotel.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Played MCC.
I knew you went to Ireland for an event. I didn't know you rented out a whole thing for MCC.
So I went to my hotel lobby, and I was like, hey, do you guys have like a business center? They're like, we have like a sort of conference room. I was like, can I use it? And they're like, for what? And I was like, well, I'm like a streamer, I've got to do this. I didn't remember what event that was, to be fair, but it was so funny because then the like lights didn't work in the room, and the room was massive, and the hotel had like a bar in, so it was like just fully pumping downstairs. It was crazy. And I was just locked away in a dark room on a laptop playing MCC. That's my dedication to the grind.
Why does that give me MCC Twitch Rivals vibes? I don't know. I can't explain it. It just does. I can't explain why it gives me those vibes. It just does.
Yeah, honestly, I wish I could remember. I can remember the name of the event. So if I can hold on. Gamerfest, October 2022. We can cross-reference.
Do the maths.
That was wow. I just opened it. It was MCC 26. That is wild.
Whoa, okay.
I can't believe I did that.
Wilbur as well.
What a team! What a team!
He placed 14th in Div that event as well.
Yeah, in a pitch black room on it was a wired mouse with no mouse mat, and my laptop just on full brightness in a pitch black conference room.
That's quite
so funny, bro.
When you think of it. Yeah. I mean, you've been around in MCC for a while. I'm a strong believer in everything happens for a reason. I don't think anything would have changed if you was in MCC 1, but I guess like part of the thing is like there was a reason you weren't in MCC season 1. I guess I don't know how to explain it, but it's just I guess it's just the way.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You've ever since then you've become like a big. As much as playing any event, you've also become a big fan of MCC. You own all things MCC. How comes like because I've had Nebula on the podcast. We talked a little bit about like his experience working with it, etc. But
yeah,
like why did that channel come to be?
So like at the time, I was obviously obsessed with MCC, and like all my streams were MCC related. I was grinding the like practice server like crazy. I mean, to be fair, I don't even know if the practice server fully existed at that point. I don't remember exactly when it came about, but I was like obsessed with the whole event. I loved it, and I was having a blast. And it was MCC 8 where I made the channel. Like one of the first videos I ever made was like I think it was 8 that was the Techno Dream Team. And I remember just thinking to myself, I was like, this is like there's a gap in the market for videos like this. And I was looking it up, and there wasn't too many people making videos about specifically MCC. There was a few channels that were dabbling in it, but they were their main stuff was something else. And I was like, I have a unique perspective. I'm in the event. I should make videos talking about it in some way. And that was how it literally started. I made a video that was just talking about the teams. So the first 2 videos on the channel actually are like, I mean, they're very old now, 3+ years ago, but it actually wasn't going to be all things MCC when I first started it. Well, first of all, it was called MCC Analysis and History, which is a ridiculous name. And I actually made a video called like what it's like training with Techno Dream and Wilbur. And it was just us messing around on the practice server back in the day. And then I actually made a video after MCC 7, I think it was, called How Me, Technoblade, Filzer, and Wilbur almost won Minecraft Championship. And it was more like a a highlights video of MCC pretty much. And it was a couple of weeks after that, I was like, oh, I should make a video about like the teams. I think honestly, it was almost kind of like a very early Reddit roundup in a way. I got the teams from the Reddit, I'm pretty sure, and scrolled through them and just analyzed the teams. And you can see I was trying to make videos that were about MCC, but almost in like a, you know, like when people do like, I guess like Skyblock videos, and it's called like, you won't believe how powerful this weapon is. And it's just like, it can be 20 minutes of them like grinding out Skyblock, but then like, you know, there's an overarching theme. So I had a video called Our Secret Weapon for MCC. This aged badly. And that was like, I think it was me, Minimuka, and Calvin, and we had SB737. He was our secret weapon for some, I don't know why he was our secret weapon. And then I started realizing that the teams videos were doing really well, like really, really well. So then I started doing MCC 9, then it was MCC 10, then it was MCC 11, and all it was just the predictions videos. That was all I was uploading, basically.
It was all things MCC.
Yeah, and it literally was, yeah. And then it appears for some reason I skipped 12. Don't know how I did that. Although I did make a video called How Seapeekay Became the #1 BattleBox player, which is really funny because obviously I was making the video about myself. But it was just one of those things. And then it was the break between MCC 1 and MCC 2. And I did a video where it was like all MCC season 1 winning teams and scores. And it was just like a breakdown of like the little Hall of Fame. And that's when we did a player spotlight, and I started doing like top 10 / Hall of Fame placements and stuff. And then we started talking about things that were teased in between seasons. And at this point, it was like, I realized it was starting to do well. And this was when I started to like reach out to people to help me with the channel. The first of which to come in was Animagician, who is the GOAT still. And he was making analysis videos similar to me. And I guess I kind of big corped him in a way. I was like, look, like you're making these videos. His main stuff, I think, was like those, it was like theory videos and stuff on Hermitcraft and the Dream SMP. But he was making MCC videos in like alongside it, but they weren't doing as well. So I said, look, why don't you come in with me, help me make my videos? You still get the outlet of creating the content you want to create. It'll be on a channel where like it's very much appreciated, you know, like I could do with the help. Let's team up. And then so yeah, it was me and Annie for a while. And then it was when they did the first MCC Rising. And I was like, man, there's so many talented people in here. This is crazy. And that's when I spotted Owen. And I was like, Owen's very, very clever. He's very smart. He's very good at content, very good at editing. So I asked if he wanted to come on board as well. So he brought Owen in. And then as with everything, like I always said, the people I was bringing in were very, very talented. And I like to think that they would attest to this statement in the same way I would. I always knew everyone that I had for this channel would outgrow the channel. I knew that Annie would, like at some point, Annie would outgrow it because he's very, very talented. When I brought Owen in, like he was streaming and like he was still a smaller streamer, but I could see like he was very clever, real good at editing, great storyboarder. I mean, Owen wrote pretty much every script we ever used up until Neb came in pretty much. And I knew as well, I always said to them, like, if your channel takes off or your channel starts doing really well, like run at it, go for it. Like, you know, take your time, leave the channel if you have to, but don't stay held down to this when you can have your own thing as well. I always told them to prioritize their own content because I just wanted the help. And if they could give me it, great. And if they couldn't, then I would still try and make something on my own. Yeah. I'm not sure if Annie's spoken publicly about what he's doing, so I won't speak on Annie's behalf. But obviously Owen is now a full-time streamer, creator, got POW Creations. He makes some of the best SMPs going. And that's all it came down to was like, we all had this conversation eventually and they were like, I think I want to focus on my stuff. And I'm like, do it. Let's go. Like, absolutely happy for them. But at the same time, I've got to fill these gaps because I need help to run this channel because in general, I'm quite busy. Yeah. But I've built the channel and I don't want it to like, I don't want it to stop. And that's Neb actually got brought in as a clip collector originally. And it just very quickly, he started making really cool ideas. Started pitching ideas to us in the Discord, and we realized really quickly that like Neb's talent would be wasted if we just had him collect clips. And then when Owen and Neb were sort of co-editing stuff, like it'd be like one would do one would do the other. And then when Owen left, Neb took over full time. And I mean, I speak about this very honestly all the time. Like Neb carries this channel. He is the lifeblood of the channel. Like, it literally is my voice and Neb's work essentially. But I always talk about that. I'm always very honest. Like Neb is actually the GOAT. He does so much for the channel, and it genuinely wouldn't exist without him. So long may the rule of Neb continue.
I mean, all things MCC is a really cool channel. I gave I said, I talked to Neb a little bit about it, which makes sense because as you've just mentioned there, like he works a lot on the channel. And like I gave a few suggestions. I feel like, I mean, I'm gonna say them to you now. Obviously, you can take them or you don't. I mean, at the end of the day, all things MCC is run by you and Neb like for a reason.
Of course.
And it's like I was giving like commentary ideas, like maybe a video on like what would what if MCC never existed, or like what if a certain MCC team won a certain season or something. Just like, I don't know, videos like that I feel like could be quite fun, like little what if things, or you know, the past, the present and the future of MCC, like a little documentary type of video. I don't know, just stuff like that I feel like could be quite cool. And like, you know, I could easily go and I could go and probably make that on one of my main channels, but then it just wouldn't do as good if it wasn't by you guys on all things MCC, if that makes sense. Like, maybe it would, but that's not the point. I'm trying, like, you got me.
Well, but that's it. And I think this is something we've not struggled with the identity of the channel, but I think we definitely have a little. And like, we've not changed the direction of the channel, but we've changed like how we make things and what we do. And back in the day when it was called like, you know, MCC analysis and history, I would make videos that were like how Sapnap's team went 9-0 in Battle Box, and it'd be like a 25-minute analysis of how that happened and what strategy they were using and how they were doing that.
So cool nowadays.
Yeah, and I think that this is the thing. Like, we've spoken a bit about it, and obviously like now, like the problem is, and we've had this conversation internally, and you know, I think it's one of those things where like at the moment MCC had obviously it's like massive boom, and now it's not that it's not doing well, it's that like I feel like a lot of the community are like moving to other events, or they're moving forwards, or they're not watching Minecraft content as much, and we've seen like a general sort of dip in interest in MCC related videos for sure, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the same as anything. You know, MCC's been around for years at this point. The fact it's even gone on for so long is a testament to the people that run it. But as with everything, like all it takes is a couple of events and it could be in another massive pop-off arc, you know? That's all it is. Like we're showing no signs of stopping. Like I know it seems like we haven't uploaded in a while, and like that is true.
It's also off season as well.
That's what I mean. It's off season. And this is actually weirdly where like I think we'll make our best videos. We have like extra time. We don't have pressure of it being like, okay, so in like 3 weeks until the next event, like what can we do? And I think that the documentary style stuff is definitely something we've had conversations about, and my friend Zach or Caesar has started working with us on the channel as well, and he's actually helping us with short form stuff. So we started putting out some short form, not a massive amount, but he's sort of dabbling in it. But he also is a big fan of like longer drawn out documentary style content, and I can't imagine it'll be too long before we definitely had conversations about, instead of trying to force out like 6 videos, let's keep the top 10s because they're, you know, the sort of the bread and butter at this point, and the team announcements are very easy. That's just me waffling about teams. But then in the middle, let's try and get like 1 or 2 bigger, you know, like you said, like documentary style videos out. And you know, some of our most popular videos are those styles of videos, so it only makes sense to try and teeter what we're doing across to that stuff. But it's just tough to work out, and it's tough to work out when to do it and what to do, and you know, only time will tell. But we've been teetering around this 95k slot for absolutely ages, and I wanted the channel to at least get to 100k. Man, it's killing me.
Yeah, it's so close. It's so annoying. I'm looking, I'm just like, come on. Would you say MCC changed your life a little bit?
I mean, 100%. I mean,
so why not make a video about it?
Well, I mean, that's
changed my life.
That's a very valid question. I mean, it's an interesting thing, because obviously, like, you know, it was one of my friends that helped to make it, and it's such an interesting experience that, I mean, my like highest viewership on stream ever, outside of like joining a big SMP, was just that I became like the MCC guy. And like when MCC was like at its peak, which, I mean, I don't want to pinpoint an exact event. I have absolutely no idea what that would be.
I get what you mean, though. Yeah. I think everyone
like, you know, it's like there was a time when like watching someone run around the Ace Race map was hype, because you never know what's going to happen or who's going to jump on the server or anything like that. Whereas like, you know, that was my whole thing for ages. Like I think at my peak I was like getting nearly 2,000 viewers a stream in the peak of MCC, and it was nuts. And then obviously like I stayed obsessed with it, and the obsession from other people dropped off a little, which again is nothing bad. It's just how this industry works. Like, you know, interest shift, timeline shift. So definitely changed my life. Yeah, maybe I should make a video about it.
Are you looking?
Good idea.
Yeah, see, exactly. I'm full of them. I mean, as ideas manager. There we go.
Ideas guy.
Are you looking to expand? I know you mentioned, you touched on it a little bit. Are you looking to expand like the All Things MCC team? Or are you kind of satisfied with how it is right now? I
mean, I think the thing that comes down to for me now is finding ways that, like, there's like a bit of an ongoing joke, because obviously we had this, like, it was, I hope it never came across as real beef, but we had, you know, this back and forth with MCC highlights.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
where,
I thought,
you know,
joke,
yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think there was ever any ill will in it. You know, I think we all knew pretty much that it was just a bit of, you know, banter. And like the thing was that it was like, it's like, you know, when there's 2 competing channels that both come out on top, like the debate on Messi and Ronaldo, like both of those people are still being talked about so much that they both gain stuff out of it, right? And we kind of had that, I think we both had that idea. We never actively spoke about it, but like if we were being discussed together, we were still being discussed, right? So, you know, it was never anything dramatic, but we loved having this like back and forth with them. And then they'd make a video and we'd be like, oh, like that's a good idea. Like that was a great video from them. We should have done something. And like you'll see some of their like videos. We comment on it from the All Things MCC channel. We're like, great video, by the way. Like, you know, there was always this mutual respect. But a big thing, and the reason I don't know about expanding stuff is like pay, because like I can't really let people work for me for the love of the job. And that's the sort of big thing about it, is like I always made this joke was that back in the day, and again, I'll probably get fact checked, but just to double check, Joey Capolo of Capolo Media, who like basically started and runs MCC highlights, reached out to help me with MCC videos. And I said like I wasn't in a position where I could pay them, and I don't think it'd be right for me to let them work for free. So they started making their own MCC videos, and that became MCC highlights. And like I always have this joke where it's like, wow, man, I really could have stopped it in its tracks if I just had taken the help, you know?
Yeah, if you just said yes, it would have all been avoided.
Right? But then that's the thing for me now is like, you know, the way I like people need to be paid for their work, and it needs to be a fair rate for what they do. And you know, arguably, God, I mean, Nev should get 100% of the revenue of that channel. He really does carry it. But for me now, like as much as I'd love to expand it and like, you know, bring in like, I don't know, maybe another editor, or bring in, and like you said, like an ideas guy or something like that, it's hard for me to work out how I can do that without and work out the valuation. Like hopefully one day I'm in a situation where I'm financially comfortable enough where I can just be like, yeah, you know, I'm going to bring someone in, let's pay them this much a month and let's do it. But for now, that's not the case. And it's just, if the channel picks up, hopefully I can shift the money in the channel to somewhere else and do that. But for now, I think it'll probably stay relatively tight knit.
I'm quite fortunate in a sense of like, so I pay Oracat because he makes head thumbnails and all the designs and stuff like that. But like the rest of the podcast team, like I have Roman doing research, I have AJX the co-host, I have like Joe Cannon now getting and editing clips, and I'm quite fortunate to the point of like they're all volunteer. And as much as I'd love to pay them, I would absolutely love to. I just, you know, the podcast, I mean, I have fun fact, I guess, and by the time this podcast comes out, it will be announced is I've just linked my AdSense account since the podcast hit 3K hours. I can now enable channel memberships, which is pretty cool.
Let's go.
So like, you know, I'm hoping at one point this year I can more, and like, I mean, you know, I do like little gestures and they're nothing amazing, like, you know, I get them Discord night and stuff like that. It's also just a bit hard because if the podcast isn't earning money, and like, you know, I mean, I've spent so much on the podcast out of money that I've earned for work, and I've never made a profit from it. So, you know, I'm quite lucky in that sense of like, I have people who are willingly, and I said like, you are going to be volunteer if that's okay. And they're like, yeah, no, 100%. I'm like, I think it's just cool to work with the podcast team. And I was like, okay, thank you so much.
No, 100%. And like, that's where like, I think that was the slight difference in like the situation I was in is like, obviously for me, like I've been doing content creation for so long. And like, I think like you said, for you, like it's a massive passion project. You're not making like profit from this podcast, right?
I've spent so much on it right now.
Said, hopefully soon. For now, hopefully it will. Yeah, exactly. I believe you will, of course, right? But for me, like I was very noticeably and openly making profit from All Things MCC, right? Even when it was MCC analysis and history. So that the thing is like, I'm all for like, if you have a channel that's not making money, then by all means have people help out, you know, if you have other friends who want to treat it as a passion project, then like amazing. Like you're I'm sure you know this, you're very lucky to have people who want to help you and do that stuff. And like, that's sick. Like for me, I was in a situation where I was like, like I am earning money from it. But it wasn't to a point where I'm like, well, I want to use that money to hire someone, when for now I can make it myself, you know? So, you know, I think that was the big thing for me at that time. Cause obviously I would have loved the help when Joey reached out, I was like, would be nice. It would be nice. But yeah, now I'm in a position where, you know, like, luckily I can pay the people that help me out, and it's just one of those situations where it depends on the situation of the person as to the, you know, what they can do and what they can offer. So, you know, and I believe now you've got these channel memberships, mate, you'll be firing some cash off soon enough. I believe.
See, I mean, I am trying to think of benefits, and I've thought of a few, and obviously I don't want people thinking they have to become a channel member, but like, no, of course it'd be cool. And like, even with Spotify, for example, to kind of cement the whole idea of it being a passion project even more, I pay RSS £13 a month so I can upload podcasts. I could do it for completely free through Spotify, and apparently I can earn like 70% revenue from it. Then I look at the view counts, I'm like, they're doing decent, but I don't see the point of slapping ads on Spotify right now, because it'd be more of an inconvenience than it is a profit to me, if that makes sense. And I guess that's the cement. I could cop out and be earning maybe an extra like maybe 2-3 quid a day. Yeah, but I'm not. I've turned down that opportunity because I'm like, I'd rather spend money so people have a good listening experience than like make it a bit kind of just like ad ad. I mean, obviously on YouTube, once I get 4K watch hours, I'm enabling ads. But then
Yeah, of course.
that's why people have the Spotify option to listen for free. Kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm literally in a similar boat in that, like, I mean, I think it's like $27 a month to have my podcast stay up, basically. And it's just because I'm like,
use RSS is way better.
I honestly don't even remember what I use. That's how long it's been since I even logged into it, which is really good. So that's great. But yeah, I just literally at this point pay to keep it up because I'm like, well, apparently I use Buzzsprout. There it is. Yeah. So
speaking
that is it. Yeah, I just double checked. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm using. The All Things MCC podcast to keep it up. Cost me $27 a month.
Jeez, yeah. So I just use RSS, £13. That's great. And it's a really good website as well. Really, really good podcast because it's automatically uploading my podcast to like Amazon Music and Apple Music and stuff. And I didn't realize.
Mine is on everything. It was funny though because when I first started pushing it, like it went to, I think All Things MCC went something like number 3 in gaming podcasts. Shit. And then but then on like Spotify, but then like everything else, it was like Apple podcasts, 7 plays. I'm like, okay. Well, it's nice to have them there.
Exactly. Speaking of podcasts, you've mentioned it, All Things MCC podcast. And I know you've just literally mentioned about the whole thing of, wanting, if you were going to bring someone on the team, to pay them and stuff like that. Yeah. I might as well say it on the podcast. I might as well, just for the sake of it. If you were ever willing to bring back All Things MCC podcast, I'd be more than happy to edit. I think I've built enough of a resume now to say that I can edit for a podcast. I can't do like the highly edited stuff, but I can do the clip cutting. I know what to cut out. I know what to keep in. So I mean, I'd happily like voluntarily do that. I've also I made a joke with AJX about thinking about like uploading 3 podcasts a week. Yeah, but then the only thing that's stopping me from doing that is the recording part of things. Like editing, I'd happily edit 3 podcasts a week. I could very easily do that. So I mean, there you go. A little offer on the podcast. If you ever want to bring back All Things MCC and for the All Things MCC podcast, like fans, you've heard it here first. I'm offering up my editing services.
I do love that. I mean, it's definitely something that gets talked about a lot, and like the way I actually sort of ended up pitching it, and to be fair, it's a little bit of a lie. But like when I started this, I wasn't sure how well it would do, right? Like an All Things MCC podcast, like do people actually care? Do they want to hear what people's opinions are? Am I even a good podcast host? There's a lot of questions.
They were interesting. I like them.
And like the thing is that obviously we did 4 episodes, which is hilarious. I feel like it's talked about so much that you think there was like a whole season, but there was literally 4 episodes. There's Antfrost, Sapnap, Hannah Rose, and JoJo. That was it. And the only reason that it really slowed down or stopped in general was just like the amount of stuff I was doing already. So like I was streaming every day. I was still trying to upload some YouTube content. My in real life got very busy with events outside of streaming. And like it was a case of I'd have to find, I mean, you know what it's like to run a podcast. I mean, I'd like try and find a guest. A lot of the people in MCC are like, US, Australia, etc. It's like, all right, we need to do this. And it's like, okay, cool. So I've got to record this podcast at like midnight. And it's like getting questions ready and then trying to work out a schedule and then getting them on and sitting with them for like an hour and talking through stuff, then editing it afterwards and uploading it. And it was just, honestly, it was just a lot of work. And like, we talk about it all the time. And like me and Neb talk about it and how we should bring it back. And like, I mean, it's already confirmed that Fire Breath Man's going to be the first guy. Hilariously, it was supposed to come back after Fire Breath Man's first event. So that was going to be my hook, was that like it's back and it's with Fire Breath Man because he's just joined. That was MCC 29. So we are now at 35. So, and hopefully, he's still up for it. He said he was still up for it. There is plans to bring it back, but it's just like I have to find a way to make it, I have to find a way to streamline the way to do, and that's definitely the tougher part in terms of like everything else with it. It wasn't too bad. It's just the scheduling and finding people, and obviously there's a limited number of people I can have on it. Like MCC only has so many participants,
Well,
and like, that's a lot.
But then you could get like Corey on to talk about the commentating. You could get Fulham on to do an analysis. Maybe you could get you can get a lot of people on. I'm just thinking of like speedrunners at this point. They're just the first thing. Like Feinberg to talk about him. I don't know, just anything. But like Corey and Fulham, they haven't played in the event, but they've had an impact on the event. You could bring on any of the people who were part of the, like, I guess we're going to narrow it down as commentary team for MCC Twitch Rivals. There's 6 of them. You could bring on all 6.
Yeah, 100%. Which brings us to the question, when are we letting the speedrunners into MCC, huh? That's what I want to know.
Depends on how
give us Fine. Give us Curry, bro. give us the speedrunners, bro. Let them have it. Let them have it.
Yeah, I mean, surely, right? I mean, season 4,
it's gotta be
season 5. Year 5. There there we go. So,
Year 5, season 4, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, we might see some. Who knows?
It was the speedrunners.
Yeah, but with like the podcast, I mean, we kind of talked about this publicly on stream because I joined Fiberman's stream and I was like, hi, and it's like, aren't you like the podcast guy? I was like, I'm so in awe. Thank you so much for calling me the podcast guy. I love this. And he's basically probably announced on stream that he's we haven't got a date yet, but he is going to come on the podcast at one point.
Hell yeah.
So you know, you might want to get him before me, otherwise I'm going to steal all the MCC questions.
That's it. Yoink them all.
Exactly. I mean, but like I said, you know, the offer's on the table if you ever feel like bringing it back. And I mean, I do everything for like the main part of the podcast, like scheduling. I record every Monday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's always them set times. The only difference is I don't have like loads of events and stuff going on like you do, so it's a lot easier for me to do it. But you know, if you're ever able to record, you know, you can hand over and I can manage the rest if you're down.
I'll reach out. I'll let you know.
Not to put you on the spot here, you don't have to say yes.
No, of course.
No, it's fine. Even if you never do, let me know. It's just like I guess I'm just throwing out my
classic Seapeekay. I'll let you know. Never let you know.
I'll let you know. 2 years down the line, Seapeekay, are you still interested in the All Things MCC podcast? What site is that? What site am I using to upload that again? I can't remember. It just goes out my bank every month.
Exactly.
Because weren't you meant to do like a live one?
Yeah, so that was on the cards. It was like because like the website that I use, so it was supposed to come back live, and that was supposed to be Fire Breathman's one, but then it was supposed to come back during the subathon, and then like subathons end up so like chaotically untimed, that by the time we'd got to it, it was like I couldn't even make it happen if I wanted to in time. So it's still on the card. I like the idea of doing them live. There's still a chance I will end up bringing them back as live instead. It's just a fun way. The only problem is like, you know, I think people like to do non-live podcasts because then they have the opportunity to like you know, they can like rephrase an answer, or you can reword a question, or like live there's not as much opportunity to do that, and I think that adds a bit of pressure to the guest especially.
I mean, also to the host. I mean, like I'm happy to kind of explain what the rundown is I give you before the podcast, because I think people know about it anyways. Like, one of the things I say is if like, you know, I edit the entire podcast, people know this, but even if I ask you a question, imagine live I ask you a question as a host and it makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, and you're like, oh, I don't really want to answer that, and it's like, oh well, then sure. You know, people are watching. It's like, I get, but I mean, Super Eloise is doing a pretty good job with the UE podcast, so you know,
very true.
It's definitely possible to make it live. So moving on then, to another big topic, and this is gonna, I think, move into one of the biggest topics that you've had in the last few months.
Ooh.
Let's talk about SMPs.
Oh yeah, the SMP guys here.
We're not gonna get to the big one just yet. We're gonna save the best till last here, and when I say best, I mean more so just because it's most recent, etc. So as far as I'm aware, the most notable SMP that you kind of started off in would be like, you joined near the end of Dream SMP, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I mean, you still got involved in a lot of the role play. You got involved in, wasn't there like an egg law thing or something?
There was an egg law thing, yeah.
Yeah, you were pretty heavily involved in that. You know, you still got to interact with, in quotation marks, bigger creators in the Dream SMP before they kind of all stopped playing. How did that come to be?
Yes, I mean, this is one of those things. Like, I was always known as like the reason my content blew up back in the day was because I was the SMP guy. I was on SMPs with a group of my friends, and you know, the stuff we started doing well, and that was it. Crazy Craft was definitely the first big one, and then after that, like the whole group realized that we can just do different mod packs and, you know, have different SMPs every few months, and we'd have like big SMP for a few months, then a little break, and another SMP for a few months, and a little break, and that sort of was the cycle for like probably 5 years maybe, and it was great. Like, we loved doing that stuff. It was super fun. It just meant that my job was getting on and playing games with my friends, which is like, you know, unreal.
Pretty cool.
And then like, I feel like the Dream SMP was one of those things that sort of changed the landscape of how SMPs were looked at in a way. I'm sure that there were servers before that were doing big roleplay stories and things like that. But that was a completely new style of content to me. You know, I never really did any roleplayed stuff in SMPs. It was all just very much like, I was kind of like the prankster guy. I didn't know anything about Minecraft. I'd just jump on and be like, hee, I'm an idiot. And then I'd just like mess around and make some sort of weird trap or a funny prank or something like that. And then, it was like when Dream and the guys got added to MCC, that was my first real exposure to those guys. And obviously that's how I learned about the Dream SMP. And I saw that some people got added to the Dream SMP that were in MCC. I was like, oh, clearly they're still, you know, adding some people to it. And I can't remember off the top of my head exactly who got in from it. But I mean, I know Michael Mitchell got added, and I think that's where they met. I want to say Eric, but I could just be lying. I think Eric teamed with Dream, and then Eric got added a few months after, and I always thought, oh, maybe there's a chance that I could get added, you know? So, I mean, I've said this before. I asked like multiple times if I could join. I asked, and it was one of those things where it was kind of like, we're not really adding anybody right now. Maybe that was true. Maybe they were being polite. I don't know. But it's, it's one of those things. I asked because if you don't ask, you don't get. Like if you don't ask a question, the answer is always no. Whereas like, if I ask the question, there's a chance the answer is yes. You never know. Then yeah, one day I was just streaming. I was actually on the Ace Race practice server, running around, as I did back then. And I got a DM and it was like, here's the IP. Welcome to the Dream SMB. Log in when you want. And I was like, oh, mad. Obviously, I had to try not to react on stream, and I think it was pretty funny too because I showed it to my stream by being like, oh, actually, before I end the stream, guys, I was like, I've been working on a pretty cool project. I just want to show you guys, and then I logged in front of the community house on the SMP, and then just ended my stream, which I thought was maybe the funniest way to do it. And then yeah, I had a couple of months of lots of people tuning in because we were playing Dream SMP, but my worry was that I was going to end up a streamer who just jumped on and was on the SMP for no reason, and it was definitely quieter then. Me and AMZ got added at the same time, so me and AMZ definitely tried to have some interactions and stuff, and I was most excited because I got on really well with Ponk, and Ponk streamed at the same time as me, so I could go on the SMP at the same time as Ponk now, and it was super fun. And yeah, I always tried to run some stories. The easiest one, like you said, to get involved with was the egg lore, because Bad Boy Halo showed me around the server when I logged in. So, and there was essence of lore that they were doing when I logged in, they kept glitching basically and doing all this stuff, and so I just sort of jumped on the egg lore part, and I did a couple of bits of solo lore around the egg, and I had some other bits that I thought I was going to get to do, but the SMP was essentially on its way out. It was a quieter time. People weren't really jumping on anymore, and then we did all the finales and stuff, and that was really it from that point. It was just, I obviously am in a situation where I wish I got added earlier to have more time to meet people and play on the server when it was really busy. It would have been such a sick experience, but I'm very grateful I got the opportunity to even be in it. There's 30 odd people ever in it. It's kind of cool to be a part of that group, but yeah, I've always sort of been the SMP guy, and this was a very different style of content for me, and very I saw it as a cool challenge where I could try a different style of thing. So, it was very cool for me.
And then, I know you played in other events. We'll talk, other SMPs, I should say, sorry. And we'll touch on Crazy Craft because there's a Twitter question about it, so I didn't want to touch on it too much. Yeah. Dream SMP was, I never even knew you was in Dream SMP, in fact. So really? Yeah, so Roman helps with the research. Most of this I already knew anyways, but Roman helps cement. How I see it is if we both find the same things, it's a good thing to talk about. Yeah. So and one of the things that she found was he was in Dream SMP. I was like, wait, Seapeekay was in that? I never even knew. At this time it was I was more of a Bedrock content creator, so I didn't really keep too much up with Java. I have memories of the Dream SMP, but I remember watching it is what I'm trying to get at. Sorry, and I remember seeing things that happened in Dream SMP, which was quite cool. But yeah, I just never knew you was in it. So fair play.
Yeah, I was the last person to ever be added, technically.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
It was me and AMZ got added at the same time, and I think technicality wise, AMZ logged in after me, making them the last person. But I'm gonna take it, last person.
Join added though,
That's it. Join last. The only time you'll ever celebrate being last at something.
And drawing at the same time.
True.
And then more of your more not notable ones, but just more recent ones to remember is Power Creations. You was in Pirates SMP. You didn't really play that too much. You played it, but you didn't play it loads, did you? I guess that's because it's also just been a busy year for you.
The thing for me was with that is obviously I started off, so they did Rats SMP, and I was like, that's sick. But also I wasn't really making any SMP content, so I completely understood why I was never really in contention for that. But I messaged Owen and was like, I think what you're doing with Rats is really cool. I'd love to be a part of it. But they were already weeks into this idea. So I was invited to be a side character for one of the stories they were doing. So I was a fox in a hole, and they all came in, and I got to interact with them all and have a bit of fun. And then because of that, when Pirates started, I actually messaged Owen again, being like, hey, I would love to be a part of Pirates. But again, it was they've got the cast. They've already tweeted the cast out at this point, basically. Because I think they could be wrong, but I think they announced it at TwitchCon or something. Or they announced it at a TwitchCon.
Yeah, TwitchCon EU. That was it. SMP panel.
Yeah, and then so they announced Pirates, and obviously by that point, if they're announcing the event, they've probably got people in mind already. So I just reached out again and was like, I'd love to be a part of it in any way. I just love getting to join in with stuff like this. So I got brought in as the recruitment officer, which meant on day one, pretty much, I had a massive job of sorting out every single player into their faction. And I had such fun with that. And it was so much fun. And they both said afterwards that I did a really good job and that I fit the role really well. And it was a few months later, I got a message asking if I wanted to, first of all, come back one more time as the recruitment officer. And then after that, would be added as a full-time pirate, as a separate character, which was super cool because that's a very unusual way for it to happen almost, I feel like. So I was very grateful to get the opportunity. And then Pirates was one of those ones where like I felt like I made sure I was at the lore events. I definitely dabbled in some of the free roamy stuff. And I think towards the end, I was definitely on like, a fair bit. But one thing I struggled with a little bit was picking up on story stuff because I got added halfway through the season. And like, yes, part of me could have gone back and learned more about that. And that's on me, of course. But it was like a cool thing. But like some people, by the time I logged in, I got added to my faction. And at that point, there was only, I think, 4 people in the faction and maybe 2 people or 3 people like actively playing. So it became very difficult for me in like my faction. I know towards the end, like, I think Radoon sort of stopped logging in much. Profang was in and out story related
was in the SMP.
So Radoon's was on my faction, and then at Crowfang, who I think was in and out for story related reasons. So it was me and Beckiam on. Then me and Beckiam on hilariously, like pretty much only logged in at times when the other one was not on. So we barely interacted. But I loved Pirates because it was like super grindy. Like it might be a bit of a surprise here, but I love like big grindy series. Like I could get on in the morning, grab my quests, and then go out for the day just sailing around completing quests like kill 10 creepers, kill 7 skeletons. And I was like, this is exactly what I love. So Pirates was sick, and I hope that whatever is planned in the future, I'm assuming there's going to be more. I'm assuming Power Creations aren't stopping. Hopefully, I did enough in this series that I'm in contention to be in from the start. I'd love the opportunity. But even if Owen came to me and said, hey man, like we'd love for you to be this additional character, like I'd still jump at it. Because I think that I think Power is sort of changing the game at the moment on how SMPs are run. So I'm super excited.
This is why I love the podcast, because I've now gotten Apo's view, who is one of the owners, Ako's view, who is heavily involved in lore, now your view, all in the span of 4 weeks. It's great. It's so cool. Oh man, I love the fucking InsideMC podcast. You just hear so many different things. But yeah, no, you were amazing. I remember like I lurk a lot in streams and stuff. Like I'm an active chatter, but obviously with like I've been at my job for 4 months now, and when I was more active in your chat was when I was out of a job. I had a really rough year for work. And now I'm back at work, like I tune in when I can, but I've been on the closing shifts, which has been a bit stinky. But I kind of just slap them on sometimes, just even to get my. I have like 50k channel points. There's a part of me tempted to redeem only VIP, but there's a part of me that's like I kind of just want to keep the channel points. I think it's a big flex, so I'm gonna hold on to them, or maybe just be cruel. As soon as someone redeems it, I redeem it. But also, but overall, like your SMP streams are really really cool, and that brings us into the big one where like your content has seen a massive change since. And I'm not saying you look at the viewer counts, and nor do I really. It's just hard kind of not to notice it that you have capitalized on this, and not in purpose. Like it is just passion, and you can tell it's just passion, but you have capitalized on this as well in a passionate way, is what I'm trying to get to there. QSMP Purgatory 2.
Yes sir.
You popped off, have some of the funniest moments. You're still making content about it, like watching all like videos talking about it, and it doesn't get old. It hasn't gotten old. And once again, just I haven't talked much recently because I see the thing is, right, I love talking in chats, but when they get busy, it's just like I just chill. But my presence is there. I just don't talk too much anymore. Like you popped off and it was amazing. You got to the final. Sadly, you got to the final with the Crows, but then it became a solo event, which was damn.
It was tough. It was tough.
A bit tough. But like, the lore and the friendships and stuff that you made along the way is what really matters there. The best moments of like Tubbo literally standing above your base and not knowing where it was.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Crazy. So you applied to QSMP Purgatory 2, if I'm correct, right?
Actually, I guess technically yes. So I literally replied to a tweet. Which is
That's
the application.
More mean, I guess.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying as like a possible idea or whatever was, what if playing in QSMP Purgatory 2 meant that you never get invited to QSMP?
Yep.
I have a question for you, and it's kind of an on the spot question, so you don't have to answer this if it's a tough one to ask.
Okay.
Would turning back time 3 months?
Yep.
Knowing that you would have been invited, you would have got into QSMP Purgatory 2 in December, but with the additional knowledge, which isn't a fact, I'm just making this up on the spot, that in May you'd be invited to QSMP, but in the same sense of how you were in Dream SMP, which would you have taken?
Ooh, that's definitely tough, because I've had a conversation on stream about because obviously kind of I guess
spiced up a little bit though,
I think you might have even been there. I was like saying I never really considered that joining Purgatory 2, like obviously my character I guess technically dies. I don't really know exactly what it was. You never see my character die. We just got whitelisted existed, right?
Off camera
So
death, though. Maybe.
there's no firm answer that we died, right? So I didn't think about it, but then I'm like, oh, I guess technically if we die in Purgatory, like maybe we can never come into the main server. And this got me like really questioning, like, oh my god, like wait, did I voluntarily give up a potential slot in the future? But I don't know. I think it's tough. I mean, I'd say I'd probably take Purgatory.
Same. Yeah.
Like because the outreach and the new people who have joined like my stream and my stream community from being in Purgatory, like the best thing that I got out of Purgatory was not like increased viewership. It wasn't like more people coming to my streams. It was a mix of that and the people that I met who were on my team. Like that's the beautiful thing about Purgatory is I said before I joined Purgatory, before I knew I was going, like when I knew I was going in, but I didn't know how it was going to work, I would either like to be with like, you know, someone that I know, so like have like AMZ on my team, have Sneakstag on my team, have Shovel on my team, because then I have like a safety net who's a person that I know. Or I wanted it to be all content creators that I never spoke to in my life. And the QSMP pulled up. I literally got paired with a team that was almost entirely Portuguese speaking, except for Aldo, who spoke Spanish. And I was the only, I think I was the only first language English speaker on the team. And I got voted as the leader of the team, which was wild. But I would never change that situation for anything. Like the people I met, even if like there was no increase in viewership, you know, like, let's say I did it, I had a big burst and it came back down to the same way it was before stream. I'm very grateful I get to stream in general. So having the people who are always there just be there anyway would be amazing. The thing that I've made now is like friends with these people, and like we're not like tweeting each other about being friends like a, you know, some sort of show. Like we chat on Discord. This is what I was talking about earlier, where like Want, who was on my team, like I'm hopefully flying out to like Portugal to meet him and hang out. And the thing is that the whole team pretty much might be getting like crow tattoos. We all spoke about it.
That'd be pretty cool.
So we're gonna see like if maybe me and Want will get the crow tattoo together while we're out there, or you know, there's so much cool stuff that's happened. And one of them is that I got to learn so much about, you know, like Brazilian culture, Portuguese culture, Spanish culture, which is like culture I'm not familiar with. And as you probably know now, for the last like 16 days, I've been learning Portuguese, and I've been like trying to take that in because so much of the community who found me now are from different places. They're from Brazil, they're from Portugal, they're from France, they're from Spain. And it's so cool to me that like these people are, you know, taking the time to come watch my streams and they appreciate what I do. And it's very fun for me to be able to learn about their cultures and their languages and stuff like that. So I don't think I could ever change the option to have taken Purgatory, man. Even if I knew I was getting in the QSMP, like, you know, I'm fingers crossed that one day I can still snag an invite somehow. I don't know how, but I'm ready and waiting. I'm ready and waiting.
That's the thing, like, when people think of, like, growth, right? Or when you say, like, oh, I know you didn't say that, I'm just saying in the sense of, like, when I'm like, oh, it affected you really well with growth, for example, right? Everyone always narrows that down and instantly thinks it means by viewer count, or it means by, like, recognition. But, like, growth isn't, for instance, with the podcast, right? The podcast hasn't, it's gained more watch time, but over the past, like, few months, it hasn't really gained much more views. It's gained subscribers, it's gained followers on Twitter, but there's nothing, like, stand out crazy. I always appreciate it 100%. There's nothing that stands out like, oh my god, he's blown up like 10k subscribers after announcing Seapeekay, for example, right? Yeah. But growth is also in a sense of, we talked for a little bit before the podcast. We had a pretty cool conversation. I'd like to say I enjoyed it anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, I got to talk to you about stuff that like you would have never known, and we would have never ever probably talked about unless we'd sat down and talked today. And that's the thing with the whole for instance, like QSMP situation, is like people narrowed growth down to viewer count, but growth is also now in a sense of, you know, you've made Portuguese friends, you're now flying out to Portugal to meet up with somebody, or Portuguese speaking friends or Spanish speaking friends, you're now flying out to Portugal, you're now learning Portuguese. That's growth in itself. But you would have, if you had never in QSMP Purgatory 2, maybe you would have learned Portuguese at one point, but where would the motivation be to do it? You now have the motivation to do it, and that's growth. That's, you're now learning a new language. That's growth. Yeah,
no, 100%. And like you said, like with the growth thing, like there's obviously no doubt, like, I'm very grateful more people are tuning into my stream. Like that's very cool, because I've been doing this for so long. You know, it's always nice when there's a wave of people who come check it out. I feel like my streams in the last couple of weeks, especially since Purgatory, have been some of the best I've ever done, because I'm just super excited that people are discovering my channel and like, you know, stuff like that. So it's very fun for me, but I feel like it's allowing me to explore what I do on stream. And you know, I haven't really played Minecraft in like over a week. Like I dabbled with some Parkour Warrior the other day, but you know, I've been playing like Trombone Champ and Valorant, and I'm seeing a big uptick of people who are there for like me as a streamer versus who are there for like certain games, and both are completely okay. It's just that it's very cool to see an increase in people who are there for me and what I'm doing. So, you know, I'll be forever in QSMP Purgatory's debt for the opportunities that it's presented me with people and with, you know, a new audience who have come to see my streams.
And it couldn't have happened to someone who deserves it more. I mean, yeah, like obviously everyone who got it deserves it, but like, I don't know, it's nice to see, because I guess I always have this thing as well of like, and I guess it's a partial coping mechanism, but in my head it makes sense. It's like, you could be the best content creator in the world, but you know, you could make the absolute best content, right? But people who may enjoy your content don't even know you exist, like, you know, and 100%. That's not your fault. You can do your best to, like, for instance, the podcast, I can do my best to constantly pump out content, but if people don't know the podcast exists, they're not going to know about me. And QSMP Purgatory 2 kind of opened you up to a whole new community of like, I mean, I see the replies to your tweets on people who have never interacted with you before, and they absolutely love you, and it's like, shit. You know, it's that opportunity being handed to you is like, has now given people like who would have always liked your content, now like they've now found you, kind of thing.
100%. Like I said, a lot of that is down to being on the team I was with, and you know, these people are coming across from other communities, and I know a lot of people that chill out in my stream now come from Once community, because Once streams super late. And also, maybe I'm really stupid, but I didn't know that Portugal was literally in the same time zone as us. Maybe I'm just dumb. I have no idea.
Well, the exact same time zone.
The exact same time zone, bro.
Oh, because I know Spain's 2 hours ahead.
Yeah, so apparently Portugal's in the same time zone as us, unless
Never
I'm completely
mind,
wrong.
I'm just as silly then.
Hold on.
Just like Google, like, what time is it in Portugal?
Okay, so yeah, in Lisbon and all of mainland Portugal, the time during the winter months is the equivalent of GMT. And then in the summer, it's +1. But right now, it's the exact same. So, so maybe I'm not entirely as stupid as I thought. I thought it was like all the time. So, but yeah, like, and then, you know, like now these people are like, oh, Seapeekay seems pretty cool. Want doesn't stream till midnight, and Seapeekay streams literally 10 hours before him. I've got some time, let's watch him. You know, that's the opportunities that I'm being given, and the opportunities I'm taking. Like you said, like, you know, like I'm sort of taking this opportunity with both hands, and I'm doing a lot of stuff about the QSMP, and I'm watching the lore, and part of that, yes, is kind of, oh, people love to watch it, but also like the QSMP is one of the coolest concepts I think that's ever existed. So I've just got nearly a year's worth of lore and videos to go through. The playlist that I'm watching right now has 607 videos in, and we're about 26 in. So, you know, we got a long time worth of content coming.
You know, you become a big fan of Bolas. God,
of course.
Bolas. Is Bolas? How do you pronounce it? Am I butchering it?
It is Bolas. No, it is Bolas.
It's just right the first time. Okay.
I was just shocked to find out it's just like the word balls in Portuguese, which is great. So yeah, that did lead to like some crazy roleplay stuff, and now I just have like a gas mask next to me all the time. I don't really know what to do with it anymore.
Just wear it on stream. Why not? Just do like a full Valorant stream while wearing a gas mask. Why not?
Viper cosplay, mate. It's easy.
Exactly. You can exactly. You can go to events like Comic-Con and stuff and cosplay. It's perfect.
Easy.
But you know, like with that, I guess that was a strong inspiration as well for like how kind of crows were in QSMP Purgatory 2. Obviously, not like word for word, bar for bar, but I'd like to say, you know, you became a big fan of watching them, so I assume it had a bit of an impact. Yeah,
like I think what was cool is that obviously, like, I feel like the Bolas were the most, like, everyone was talking about it, like, why was I not reacting to like the other teams and stuff? And I was. It's just that like Bolas was the most clipped team by a very long way. You know, there was so many videos of them, so many clips, and I just thought as a group they were hilarious. They were so fun to watch. And then like it wasn't even like directly, it didn't even like impact us directly, I don't think, because I was the only one who really learned all about the lore. I think like the other guys didn't know too much about it. It just so happened that we sort of became the like personality equivalent of the Bolas team, I think. Like we were just having a lot of fun. We kept screaming Kakor for absolutely no reason, and like the same way they would scream Bolas. Like we just had so much energy and so much fun, and you know we were sitting with each other 12 hours a day. So I mean, you know, we all became pretty friendly pretty fast, and it was just a super cool experience. Like I really wouldn't change it for anything. And like I spoke about this on stream a little bit, but like I didn't know what my future was for streaming. Like after January, like numbers and stuff were down, and I was leaving Misfits, so like I didn't have a retainer anymore. So like it's one of those things where it was like, is this enough to be my full-time income? And the answer was no. And like this has opened so many doors, and you know, people have been so kind and supportive, and like, you know, like we said, I have seen a big increase in sort of average viewership, and that's basically allowing me to keep this as my job, which is nuts. So I'm super grateful. Like Quackity doesn't even know. Also, I don't know how much Quackity had to even do with the decision making, by the way. It could have been a team that did it. I have no idea. But whether it was Quackity or whether it was the team that made the decision, like they have no idea what a massive lifeline they threw me without even realizing they were doing it. So I'm going to be eternally grateful to that team.
Thank you to anyone who impacted
exactly
QSMP. There we go. Easiest way to do it. Do you have any more to talk about on on the QSMP Purgatory topic then, or do you think we've pretty much covered all of it?
I mean, yeah, I think Purgatory was like one of those things where it came and went in a flash, you know. It was like 5 days, but it really just flew. And I mean, like I said, our big thing, even on the last day when we had a big indication that it was going to be individual players. Like, they really didn't tell us, just to clarify here, in case anyone thought it was like their stream acting. Like, we really didn't know. But there was a lot of hints that led it to sound like we were probably going to be individuals in the last day. So when we made it so it was like all 4 crows in the final 4, like, no matter which one of us won, man, we were going to be excited. I am still losing sleep over the fact I got to the final room first and there was no doors. Oh man, I still lose sleep over it. But like, as soon as we knew it was all 4 crows, any one of us who won would just have been grateful that it was one of our team, man. Like, even though it was individual, the biggest thing we won was like the fact we made such good friends with each other. And Aldo spoke about it after he won, and he was like, it's not even the winning, it's like the people that he met along the way and like how much fun we had over those 5 days, you know. So yeah, it was unreal. And I really don't think I would change that opportunity for anything, honestly.
Putting that quote really into perspective. Friends
100%
away kind of thing.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was.
I mean, it was just an unlucky scenario, but maybe once again it's a case of everything happens for a reason. Who knows? Maybe not in this case, but yeah, being positive,
not this
right?
time, but who knows?
Sure,
exactly.
just being positive. And then I guess just partial other things. 2023, all in all, was an amazing year for you. You got like you've had so many cool opportunities, so many cool scenarios. One of them was like led to the podcast being postponed, which I guess in a sense I've got to say thank you, because it worked out so much more beneficial.
Yeah,
so
it did.
Thank you for postponing me. That's great. But I guess like one of the big things that once again happened recently was like you got to interview Zack Snyder, which is what the heck?
Yeah, it's a nuts one, and I think everyone knows. Like, I started off with this joke that I'm like the busiest streamer outside of stream, and like the more I say it, the more I realize it might not be a joke.
That's true, 100% true.
So like, I go to a lot of events and stuff like that, and what's hilarious is actually I think it was when we were supposed to do this, it ended up clashing with the day I was supposed to go for my Christmas dinner with like friends and family, and then I actually just got so sick that I was at home. But I felt so bad because it was like 2 days before I was meant to go, and we'd already agreed to do the swap, that I was like, oh, I can't tell you because I'd feel terrible. So I actually was wrapped up in bed on the day in the end that was we were supposed to do it. But as you said, it worked out well, because then in that time period, like QSMP Purgatory happened, and we had a whole bunch of new stuff to chat about. So
oh wait, yeah, I remember. I actually because it's funny enough, because when you told me about it, because obviously I know why. I don't know if it's public about like I know you just kind of touched on it there, but yeah, as to why it was postponed. Now I remember sitting there, and then like you didn't go live, and I was like, and then you came out like a tweet saying about being really unwell, and I was like, okay, that kind of sums it up as to why like the podcast. I mean, like once again, I guess that's also part of as the reason as to why it turned out alright in the end, was also because we didn't want you doing an ill podcast, really.
No, of course. Like, I was coughing like crazy, but yeah, the Zack Snyder thing came about. It was super cool. I mean, I go to a lot of film premieres. I get a lot of opportunities where I get to go and like walk a carpet, watch a film early, all that cool stuff. And then one of the people who sent me to that actually just messaged me and was like, hey man, like we have an opportunity for you to work the carpet if you want to. So I got to set up a live stream and basically try and grab anyone who I could. But I mean, it was quite a split on the day. There was all the actual journalists who were there doing recordings, and like they never really yeah, well I think so, but the like actors and stuff only made it halfway down, basically, because like they obviously have advisors with them, and the advisors would be like, oh, this is so and so from this, and then there was just this group of us stood in the corner, and we were all from like Twitch and TikTok and stuff. And it's like but like what we had guaranteed was 2 minutes with Zack Snyder, which was super cool, and I was actually really grateful too, because I got to interview the composer as well, which was mad. And that was super cool. I mean, obviously, people don't know this, but I had like a very, very poor background in music journalism when I was younger. I started a music journalism company when I was 15, and I basically just wanted to stop paying for gig tickets. So I made back then obviously it was a Facebook page with like our details on, and I would just email band managers and be like, hey, like I'm this small outlet and we want to interview the band on tour, is there any chance of doing it? And there was always like, yeah, cool. And with that you would sort of get tickets to the show as well. And it was like really cool, and I sort of fell in love with interviewing bands and stuff. I did it for about 2 years in the end, and then yeah, it was weird because then like roll on 9, 10, 11 years, and I've got an opportunity to start doing some interviews again. And I think I did 3 junkets this year, which is like where you interview cast or directors of movies before the film comes out. And then I got to do the Zack Snyder one, and that was just like wild. I was doing it live, and they had like 2 or 3 questions, and it was just nuts experience, but very, very fun, and something that I definitely do as like a passion project. I think the way things have changed now in like content creator space is that like everything sort of has to say ad if it's a gifted experience about something. So I think I worry that people think I'm getting paid like 8 times a week from all these like deals, but the ads now just mean like I was given an opportunity basically. So I hope it never comes across like I'm taking all these opportunities and be like, yeah, money, because it's just that I get the opportunity to go do it, and as soon as I can't remember the exact terms, but as soon as it's like brand related, it's now an ad. So getting to meet Zack Snyder was wild, but also I think technically an ad, which is just funny.
Man, I'd do that for free. If they paid for it, and I wouldn't expect any money from that.
That's it. It's more like experiences, right? It's like money can't buy experience. So I'm always very grateful for those kind of opportunities, because I don't know what I want to do next in my free time. Like I'd love to get into some presenting work or some interviewing work, and having these kind of connect as like a show reel. So it's a great opportunity for me for sure.
Will you ever reveal your secrets? Will you ever reveal how you get to go to all of these, or no?
Oh, I reveal it all the time, man. Like honestly, I just ask. So the first premiere I ever got to go to was a Warner Brothers one. I don't even remember what film it was, honestly. Actually, that's a lie. The first one ever was Captain America: Civil War. And I got to go to that because I was technically signed to Disney through YouTube. I was signed to Maker Studios. Disney bought Maker. Yeah, so I was sent to Maker, and then Maker got bought by Disney, and then Disney cut loads of creators, but they kept some of us. And so I got to go to some like Disney events. We got to host a private screening of like Coco before it came out, like super cool. But then because I went to that, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. I want to do more of that. So I actually brought this up on stream the other day. I tweeted Warner Brothers, just being like, hey, like I see you doing stuff with my friends all the time. I'd love to come to some screenings. And they sent me a DM and was like, hey, email this email and we'll talk about it. And then from there, I just met people on the carpets and I met new contacts, and I just started asking to go to stuff. And then once you're sort of on an invite list, you stay on it sort of until you stop making content about it, really. So super cool.
Yeah, so all I gotta do is email and say, yo, I run a podcast, I can do interviews, can I?
It's literally that. I mean, unless you've ever done it, right now the only answer you're ever going to get is no, because you're not asking, man. Exactly, I'm telling you, I'm a believer in asking for stuff.
It's just about knowing where to email, where to ask. I don't know. I mean, I've said one thing, and there's one goal I really want to do, and I would love to go to the Minecraft movie premiere, and I'd love to go as like under InsideMC. I'd really want that, because I mean, I have interview. I'd like to say, I know like a podcast is having a conversation, but I'm asking all the right questions.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider this interview experience for sure.
I'd like to say I have very much a solid background in it now, and especially with like, I've now had you on Fruitberries Alongside. Like I've had a lot of big names on, so
yeah. No, for sure.
We don't touch too much on how you used to make music, but the timing's getting really, really slim here, so we are going to have to go to the Twitter questions. I mean, if you're interested, you could come back on in the future and we could have another conversation.
Oh, I'm down, man. We got so much more to talk about still.
There's so much we've missed, and who knows, like by like the end of the year, for example, if I bring you back on even next year. I mean, I'm hoping to go to both TwitchCons. We might have interacted in person.
Exactly.
Like even if it's just a simple hello, there's still something else to talk about there, interacting in person. So we can save it.
There'll be more to talk about for sure.
Okay, cool. Right. Great questions then, Seapeekay, and then I'll let you go stream. Sorry, anyone who's waiting for that stream or you're listening to this podcast, it's my fault, okay? And I'm more than happy for you to blame me.
Nah, it's all good.
I have 3 here, and you can answer these as openly or as quickly as you like. Completely fine with me. The first one comes from Not Justin. They're the owner of Minecraft Mania.
Ooh.
Was the war in Crazycraft SMP scripted, or was it random, and how did people choose sides?
Aha! Wow! Wow, they won the ulti. Okay. So honestly, no, it really wasn't scripted. Like back then, the only person who ever even really scripted, I think, any parts of most of their videos was like Ollie. Ollie had a lot of funky ideas back in the day, and they sort of had to be written out. There was definitely some like conversations about teaming and stuff. So like, it wasn't all like everyone was on one side or anything. But there was never really any set discussion over you are this and you are this. Like we did those little campaigning bits, where we went around and placed posters. Well, Ollie did posters everywhere. I went around and asked a bunch of people, and then we just sort of like made it was just like do you want to be on this team? Sure. Do you want to be in this team? Sure. But yeah, there was like, I think for the war, and I mean, you are asking questions from a long time ago.
Yeah,
now. No. If I remember rightly, we had like a rough idea of how we wanted it to go. Like it was like, oh, we need to be at point A, then we need to go to point B, then we need to go to point C, because I mean, that's just, otherwise it was like 20 content creators running around screaming at each other. We mostly just screamed war for the first 10 minutes and hit each other a bit. So it wasn't really scripted. It was just sort of like, here's the start, here's the end. We need to make sure we get there in some way. But it really was one of the most chaotic recordings I've ever done, even to this day. And I think it shows in the footage, honestly. I mean, if you're brave enough to go back and watch God, like bad
watched a bit of it.
microphone. Yeah, like bad microphone. Pretty much everybody, really. They all had like much worse equipment and stuff. But yeah, the general answer is no. It was not scripted. It was just let's see what happens if we all get together and actually just try and fight each other.
And it turned out to be something clearly memorable because a few people actually brought up questions about Crazy Craft SMP. So
yeah, it is one of those things where, like, I mean, that was the SMP that blew up my channel to the point where I could take it as a job, man. So like that, everyone always asks me like, what's your favorite SMP? And like, it's very easy for me to say Crazy Craft because it turned my hobby into a job, man. Like it's, you know, and then everything that I did there led me to this, and it really is a bizarre experience. Like I get like imposter syndrome vibes all the time. I'm like, how am I doing this? What is going on? Why am I here? So it's very, very cool that it all came from me messing around with my mates playing Minecraft.
I think I had imposter syndrome the other day when I was like thinking about like who I've had coming on podcasts and who I might have. I was like, oh, like I had him having on the podcast, but like, is this the end of it? Is this the only connection I make is talking to him? But you know, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you'll see.
It happens. But yeah, I mean, that's another topic that we didn't touch on, but we'll touch on it when you come back on in the future.
We will. I'll be back.
The next one comes from Shorky. What era has been your favorite throughout the years? And I guess like era of content, they probably did say content. I forgot to write it down. So we'll just say that. What era of content has been your favorite throughout the years?
Oh man, I mean that's definitely tough because I think for me, and like even my friends agreed, like all my friends from like the YouTube group, like, you know, Lizzie, Joel, Scott, Ollie, like that whole gang, everyone sort of agreed when I moved to streaming. Like the sort of a general agreement was like, man, you are really well suited for streaming. Like with YouTube stuff, I always needed help. Like I needed editors. I wasn't very good at editing myself. I had help with ideas. You know, I sometimes struggled to make the videos that I thought I could make. Whereas like live, I feel like I thrive. So like I love the live environment. I think it's funny. Like if I'm not funny or I'm bad at something, like there's no hiding it. Like that's just it. It's out there and it's just about how I handle the situation, you know? Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely like it. I mean, it's hard not to say like those times when it was between like when my friends were just like overall just making SMPs and taking a break, then doing an SMP, then taking a break. Like, you know, going back to like Crazy Craft and then Rollcraft, and at one point I dabbled in my own SMP that I made up called Cute Craft. Like those days are wild, and I was just playing Minecraft with my friends all day, and that was my job. So I'd have to throw it back to like the old school SMP era, man. Like that's truly one of the greatest times on YouTube, I think. And obviously part of that is definitely going to be the nostalgia. Everyone loves a good nostalgia hit.
Yeah.
But like, and so, you know, I'm probably seeing it a little bit skewed, but it's got to be between the old school SMP era for me, when like me and all my friends just hung out, played games, all that stuff, and the transition period between like YouTube and Twitch for me, because that was just so fun. Like learning how to stream and then seeing if I could take a run at it and getting a schedule and playing games and having live interaction, you know, it's definitely between those two eras, but I don't think I could pick. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, you can say two. I'm not going to hold you to one. I'm not going to make you pick.
Thanks, mate.
I'm happy with that answer, and they can be happy with it too. My podcast.
Such a kind host.
If they're not happy with it, too bad. I'm the host. I asked the question. So
they're not happy with me. They can tweet me and ask me specifically for one. I'll try my best.
And the final one comes from Blue Eyes 80. If you were officially part of Bolas, what would your role be?
Oh God!
I know I've butchered the name again. I'm sorry. I clearly
no. I mean, that is just tough because I mean, what were any of their roles? I mean,
yeah,
from what I watched,
from
the stuff I watched, it was just like 90% chaos, and then like, can we role play our way out of this? And like, for the most part, the answer ended up being yeah, I suppose you can.
Okay, so let's just take that as your answer, then. That would be your role as chaos, and can we role play my way out of it?
Chaos and grinding. Like, I think if someone in Bolas just said to me, "Oh, I need 5,000 cobblestone," like I'm the guy to go and just get it, man. Like for sure.
I mean, you proved Turbo wrong. He said you couldn't hack it, and you very much hacked it. You hacked it better than he did. So
he said I wasn't ready for 10-hour streams. I was doing 14 hours a day, bro. It's crazy.
You shut him down.
I did.
He didn't know who was speaking to at the end of the day.
Exactly. I had to put some respect on my name, young Tubbo. He was not familiar with my game.
Oh, jeez, Tubbo, you're gonna have to drop a diss track on Seapeekay now.
Oh God.
It's over. GG's. There we go then. I think that brings the end of the InsideMC podcast.
Oof,
9. Good timing, I reckon.
Yeah, it was a hefty one. I liked it. It was good fun, man. Honestly, like if I didn't have this other thing to do, we could have chatted for hours. But I'll definitely come back on again for sure.
I'm happy to. Yeah, when you come back on, I mean, I can hopefully. Who knows? This might even be full time by the end of the year. Unlikely, but if it is, then you know we could always start early in the day and just go on for a while if you were down to.
No, 100%. Also, Man United just got a penalty against Wigan. This is good news.
1-0 up as well, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah,
It was a great goal from Dallo, actually, edge of the box.
I only have the notifications and I'm on airplane mode, so there's actually a few messages I haven't responded to from 2 hours ago. Oh well.
Now Fernandes has just gone down like a wet towel, bless him, but he did get clipped.
He gets the penalty. Yeah, I guess we're good. I mean, Man City just drew Spurs in round 4, didn't they? So
that's
they
tough.
start getting
It's
harder
tough draw.
opponents. Yeah. Jeez, I thought it was gonna get like, I don't know, Oxford United. I know they're not even in round 4. But if they were, then they probably would.
If they were, good run. Right, I got to head, mate.
Quickly before I like to give the outro. I was gonna say I like to give the outro for you to promote yourself. So before you run,
lovely. Do I run?
Yeah, but like where can we find you? You're at on YouTube, Twitch, all that kind of jazz. So.
All right. Yeah, amazing. So yeah, I've been Seapeekay. You can find me on literally every social media by the handle at Seapeekay. It's SEAPEEKAY, except for TikTok, where I've got the 3-letter username TP and K.
No shot.
The GOAT. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, I stream pretty much daily. It's been super fun being on the podcast. Again, I promise you I will come back on. Still got so much to talk about. But I mean, at this point, we are, about 2.5 hours in?
We've been recording for 2 hours 20 minutes plus I guess the 30-minute convo.
A little 30-minute chat. So. That's it. So I need to pee, stream. Thanks for having me. It's been amazing. I'll be back on a future episode.
Perfect. This has been InsideMC. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Don't eat too much bread. Quickest outro I've ever done. Pieces. Quickest outro I've ever done. Pieces.